If they're not bowled out in the meantime, you'd think that 350 for the fourth batting bonus point would be a breeze, and 400 as long as Tendusgarta were out there, distinctly possible. Very good morning to Mark Church.
Very good morning, Paul. Good morning, everybody. A fantastic day of cricket yesterday, and a brilliant day for Essex, which has made this sort of title chase very, very interesting with everything that went on at the Ageas Bowl. Magnificent innings of 147 from Dan Lawrence yesterday. Ryan Tendusgarta brilliant for his 78 not out. 173 they put on for the fifth wicket. Will be very interesting. I think we know now this is a new ball pitch, isn't it?
Yep.
And we saw the wickets tumble yesterday morning. A bit later I've done some maths on what could be the scenarios going into next week. But this ball is still relatively new. I think we're 5 overs with this ball. So in a funny way, I think for Essex what might be the best result is if they got to 350 but got bowled out, to get Surrey in there with a new ball with an hour to go till lunch. But ideally Essex will be thinking, can they get to the 400 and pick up a couple more batting points in the 15 overs that are left?
Absolutely. Ricky Clark will bowl the first over of the morning. We've got a lovely sunny morning here. Another cloud in sight, certainly as we look out to the southwest. We'd like to take over, Mark.
So it's Ricky Clark with our first ball from the river end, and he's coming in over the wicket to Ryan Tendusgarta, who is 78 not out. Adam Wheater is yet to get off the mark. So he picked up a couple of late wickets last night with the new ball. My apologies, this new ball is in its 8th over now. So there are another 12.5 overs to try and get to 400 for Essex. But more importantly than that, I think, for Essex is just get yourselves to 350. See where you are then. Because, as I said, I've been doing a bit of mathematics, but I'll go through that in this first half hour of players. Over the wicket comes Ricky Clark to Tendusgarta. That climbs off a good length. And that's into the gloves of Ben Foakes away to his right hand side, because we saw yesterday morning with Porter and Cook, life was very difficult for the batsmen.
We've just seen the ball do something that it never did when the new ball was taken last night, or indeed throughout that final session, so dominated by the 162 partnership between Tendusgarta and Lawrence. And this ball from Clark, pitched just outside off stump, lifted very sharply into the gloves of Ben Foakes and left the batsman.
Clark runs away from us once more, comes in over the wicket to Tendusgarta, and Tendusgarta's forward, turning this one up towards Jordan Clark at mid-on, and there's no run. Because a reminder yesterday, Surrey started the day in not a bad position, 137 for 4, had sort of battled their way through day one, and then we're all out within an hour for 174. Porter 5 for 62, Cook 5 for 53, but then Essex were 55 for 3 when Alistair Cook went in the 21st over. But I think then, when the hardness comes out of the new ball, batting on here gets much easier, and we saw that with the partnership of Para, Lawrence Tendusgarta, and then the new ball picked up 2 wickets last night as Clark is in, and Tendusgarta just about gets the bat down on this as he pushed forward, and that rolls back up the pitch and there's no run.
Yeah, I think the even bigger point is that it's a very different matter batting in the morning here to the other 2 sessions. And of course Surrey didn't have to start, and indeed would have put Essex in if there had been a prompt start on day one, and they doubtless wish there had been. They had decent conditions to make 137 for 4 in the last 2 sessions on day one, but yesterday morning we saw what happens in the morning, and this is what Essex will have to contend with right now.
Over the wicket again comes Ricky Clark to Tendusgarta. Shot. Driving away. This will run away for 4. He's just chip wrapped off the front foot. First runs of the day are lovely. From the bat of Ryan Tendusgarta. He moves on to 82. And 306 for 6.
And of course, I was just saying this is what Essex have to contend with, and Tendusgarta promptly hits a 4. But the point would be Clark just over-pitched there, and it was a half volley for Tendusgarta that he could lean on. When the bowler gets the length right, which is just back of the length, then the batsmen don't find it at all easy in morning conditions.
Clark runs in once more over the wicket to Tendusgarta. And forward he comes again, just about gets bat on this at the last moment, punches it up towards Plunkett at mid-off, and there is no run. End of the first over of the morning then, here on Essex BBC Radio London. 4 added, 306 for 6, Essex lead by 132. But yeah, that maths I've been doing is with what happens at the Ageas Bowl. So I'll try and explain it at the right time. But I've worked out what would happen if Somerset were to win or lose at the Ageas Bowl today, and Essex with the 3 results, with the extra 2 or not the extra 2 batting points, what it could mean going into next week.
Yep, we look forward to that.
Oh, I don't think you will.
Second over just about to be bowled, and it's going to be Morné Morkel from the Hayes close end. He'll do as usual. He's checked the batsman's ready, so he turns round through 360 degrees and comes belting in and bowls to Adam Wheater, who gets a reasonably friendly delivery for first up, but that he can leave outside off stump. He's yet to get off the mark. 306 for 6.
So the first thing to say is, at the moment as we stand, Somerset are on 208 points. Essex, with the bonus points they've got already in this game, 6 of them sit on 203 points. So at the minute, as we sit here, there's a 5-point gap between the two sides.
Well, what a difference. Come back to that as here is Morkel, 2 slips a wide gully, bowls, and Wheater comes down late, plays it back to the bowler, 306 for 6. What a difference Kyle Abbott has made in that game. It may even be known as Kyle Abbott's match because he got a career best 9 for 40. Somerset did, to their credit, rally very strongly, having been 50 odd for 8 to get to 142, trailing by only 54 in the end. They had Hampshire at 103 for 8 yesterday evening, but they recovered thanks to James Vince and Kyle Abbott. As here's Morkel, bowled, chipped off the pads, brilliantly fielded at mid-wicket, or that would have been 4 runs. Jamie Smith there diving to his left, good work. 306 for 6, saving the boundary. Nice clip off the pads by Wheater as Morkel strayed onto middle and leg. Yes, 176 for 8 at the close. So Abbott, who's so good with the bat, ridiculously good for a number 10, joined James Vince, who got 100, and they put on 73 together. Now, had Somerset whipped the last 2 out pronto, I think they would have definitely won. As it is, they've still got a distinct chance as the next ball is edged down to Ollie Pope. A wide gully, there's no run, 306 for 6, Morkel the bowler, Wheater the batsman. It means at the moment, as they restarted down at the Ageas, Hampshire led by 230. It has to be said, as soon as the 9th wicket goes down, I don't think Fidel Edwards is going to hold proceedings up as the number 11 batsman for too much longer.
And that means, as I say, at the moment, 208 for Somerset points, 203 for Essex.
Morkel bowls to Wheater, lovely off drive, and nicely fielded at mid-off by Will Jacks, and we've seen 2 very good stops actually in this over. The one at mid-wicket was particularly good because that was going to zip straight to the boundary. Here Jacks did have time to see it coming, still made a good stop and fielded cleanly, 306 for 6.
So if Somerset lose, they will remain on 208 points. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? If they lose, and I think they're going to have to bat out their skins to win that at the Ageas Bowl.
Well, Essex will hope you're right, as Morkel's in bowls and Wheater plays to extra cover and there's no run. Of course, if Somerset do win, it won't prove you wrong because it means they will have batted out of their skin.
Absolutely.
And neither of us would presume to think they don't have that ability. They're not top of the table without a very good reason. Outstanding side, had a great season, and I think Tom Abel is the youngest skipper on the circuit. I think he's done a magnificent job.
So, if Essex were to lose from here, they'd be on 203 points, because that's where they are. But, if Essex, from this point, were to win this game, they'd be on 219 points. 219. So that would be 11-point gap at the top of the table going into next week. Ricky Clark from the River End comes in over the wicket to Ryan Tenduskarter, who tucks this one away off his pads very nicely. He's timed this beautifully. He'll pick up a couple as round comes Morné Morkel to do the fielding, and they'll get 3 here. That's great running from Adam Wheater. Really good running. And on to 85 goes Tenduskarter, 309 for 6. If it was a draw, then Essex at this point from here would be on 208 points. So it could be, if they rule out now, it could be, and it was a draw, that you go to Thornton next week both on 208 points.
Yes, that would actually leave Somerset having won one more match than Essex on that particular scenario.
But I actually personally think that is the least likely
Yep,
scenario.
no, I agree.
Of the scenarios that are in front of me, which I did very early this morning over my cup of coffee, as Ricky Clark, for the first time, comes in over the wicket to Adam Wheater, and Wheater in behind this one pushes it out into the offside, and there's no run. Now, if they get to 350 and pick up another batting point, if Essex were to lose, they'd be on 204 points. If they were to win, they'd be 220. So if Somerset were to lose, that would mean then it's a 12-point gap.
Yeah.
If it was a draw, they'd be on 209. Essex, they would lead by 1 point as long as Somerset lose. As turning again is Clark, down below us. Comes in over the wicket to Wheater. Wheater forward, solidly drives back up the pitch, and there's no run. It's pretty straightforward, this. Now, if you get to 400, inside the 110 overs, you'd be on 205 points. So if you were to lose, there'd be a 3-point gap as long as Somerset lose. If you were to win 221 points, you'd have opened up a 13-point gap if Somerset lose. And if it's a draw, 210, Essex would lead by 2 points. But of course, Somerset could bat out their skins and win it, which would mean they'd be on 224 points at the end of this round. As in over the wicket goes Clark, and Wheater's pushing this one down into the leg side, and there's no run. So let's just say from this point here that Somerset do pull off a miraculous win today, and they're on 224 points, and then Essex don't get another batting point but win the game. There would be still a 5-point gap, and it would favour Somerset going into the game next week. So there's an awful lot of scenarios, but I think yesterday could have been the pivotal day of the season in many ways with what happened, as Ricky Clark comes over the wicket to Adam Wheater, and Wheater tucks him through the leg side to get off the mark in lovely fashion. It's a super shot from Adam Wheater, just on leg stump there, Ricky Clark, and whipped away by Wheater to get off the mark. And 313 for 6 now. Essex.
Lovely shot, and actually I was just thinking, he's begun very confidently, and he's played 2 or 3 other equally fine shots that only good fielding have prevented going to the boundary as well. So he will feel that it's about time one of his shots. His timing so far has been very impressive.
I suppose James Vince might get the freedom of Chelmsford as well. As in over the wicket comes Clark, and forward goes Wheater and pushes a good length ball out into the offside. End of the over, 3rd one this morning, and Essex have moved without too many alarms onto 313 for 6.
I seem to remember at one point Essex, one of those rumours that flew around that they were interested in James Vince, and certainly, probably it's been to their advantage that he stayed where he is, because he can act as their agent, if you like, and hopefully expand on his 100 down there at Taunton. But here at Chelmsford, not a cloud in the sky. It was a wonderful day yesterday. It looks like we've got more of the same, and certainly so far the stroke play of the 2 batsmen has belied the normal difficulty batsmen have in a morning session at Chelmsford, but that can change. Tenduskarter on 85. Ooh, appeal for LBW. It's going to be turned down by Martin Saggers, and I think probably it might just have beaten leg stump there, but he was certainly hadn't got a stride in, and it didn't look to me as if it was climbing much, so well worth an appeal.
Yeah, I think that was whether it hit bat first or pad. So I think if this had been a test match, it might well have gone upstairs for a review there, but as it is, umpire Saggers decides it's hit bat first rather than pad. But again, I said it yesterday, Morkel will be just looking to smash this ball into Tenduskarter's front pad.
Well, that's right, and it is Tenduskarter's Achilles heel, the LBW, easily his major moment. Oh, it's nearly caught here. It flies off an edge and down to the 3rd man boundary, and it just evaded Ollie Pope's dive in the gully, and it was airborne as well. It was low. Excellent effort by Pope to get to it. I don't think he quite got a finger on it, but you can't quite call it a catch now. Had Pope been a foot taller, I think it would have been a catch. 317 for 6.
But he actually went reverse hand for that, because it was the only way he thought he could get across to it. So by that, what I mean is it was going to his right, and he dived and then went with his left hand across himself to try and get a hand to it. It would have been a spectacular catch had he pulled it off, but in the end, I don't think he got anywhere near it.
No, I don't think it was a chance, but had he been a yard wider, certainly he would have pouched it, because he's a very fine fieldsman. Here is Morné Morkel to Tendescata. Oh, that's 4 runs with anybody's money. Glorious extra cover drive. You won't see better. The timing was absolutely exquisite. And Tendescata races into the 90s with that little bit of luck he had from the previous delivery. Consecutive 4s, 93 to Tendescata. And it's what in greyhound racing terms we call a Ted Rogers 3-2-1 on the board.
Very good.
For when in greyhound racing trap 3 beats trap 2 with trap 1 in third.
Could have been Dusty Bin as well, couldn't it?
I suppose so.
Yes.
We wouldn't refer to it though as that I mean, it might have been called that.
Pigeon racing terms.
Yeah. Here is Morkel into Tendescata. In fact, a misunderstanding between the batsmen, but it's not to matter. Tendescata played the ball a few yards towards Jamie Smith at mid-wicket, took 2 strides down the wicket. Wheater, understandably, thought he was being called for a single, but Tendescata's change of mind was immediate, and there was never much danger of a run out there, but there certainly wasn't a run in the first place. 321 for 6, and this is the 91st over.
Yeah, just a very nice start this for Essex this morning without doing anything too spectacular.
Well, the ball's coming onto the bat, that is for sure. Here is Morkel in bowls, and Tendescata plays it to mid-off. 321 for 6. And on this pitch at Chelmsford, it is a slowish square. You know, whatever wicket you're playing on here, you very rarely see a really fast Chelmsford track. And the ball holds up a little bit, and for that reason, a really express-pace bowler like Morné Morkel is not going to be as effective as a Jordan Clark or a Jamie Porter and a Sam Cook, who are just back of top pace. Still, you know, they're quick, but not ultra quick. I think Morkel has held his pace back a bit in recognition of that as he bowls. Oh, good delivery, and that one gets up into the throat of Tendescata. He fends it off. It was in the air briefly, but no one anywhere near could have caught it. Pope eventually runs round and retrieves, but good bowling, well dealt with in the end by Tendescata. They get the single to take Tendescata within technically 1 blow of a century. He's on 94, and Essex are 322 for 6.
Yeah, he played it well enough, Ryan Tendescata. I'm quite surprised that Surrey haven't started up with Jordan Clark this morning.
Yeah,
and the fact that
me too.
For me, yesterday, he was definitely the pick of the bowlers. 15 overs, 2 mains, 3 for 52, but Ricky Clark's been in tremendous form with the ball of late, but I don't think it'll be too long until Jordan Clark comes into the attack.
Now, I think seniority plays its part in the terms of bowler selection, but I quite agree with you. He was outstanding yesterday.
Ricky Clark it is from the river end, coming over the wicket to Tendescata, who turns this one into the leg side. Quick singles taken, Will Jacks with the throw, but Wheater responds quickly. Tendescata moves on to 95, 323 for 6.
And Wheater responded to Tendescata's call like a scalded rabbit. You could almost hear him say, "Oh, hell,
Captain."
The captain has called me for a run here." It was a very risky one, but fortunately Wheater is almost as quick as Tendescata. And I remember Nick Brown telling me once, when he made hundreds in each innings in a game, I said, "You must be tired." He said, "Only when I had to partner Tendescata."
Ricky Clark is over the wicket, and looking to drive is the right-handed Wheater, thick inside edge. Now down at the Aegeus Bowl, Hampshire have moved on to 199 for 8 now. Vince 123, Abbott 17. That's a lead now of 253.
And I think, Mark, I'm right in saying all the runs this morning have gone to, there might have been the odd extra,
Jay Vince.
To James Vince, because I think Abbott was 17 overnight. Doesn't really matter other than to say Kyle Abbott is playing the perfect role for his partner.
Places the ball in his right hand once more, does Ricky Clark, then comes over the wicket to Adam Wheater, and Wheater turns leg side, rolls in there to Amar Verdi, out there at square leg, and there's no run. If you're just joining us, good morning to you from a very sunny Chelmsford. Day 3 today here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio London, and Essex without too many great alarms have added a further 21 runs this morning. 323 for 6 they are.
And I'll tell you what, as long as Tenduscarta's there, Essex will be looking to go all the way to 400 within the 110 overs. They haven't got too many batting bonus points this season.
Picked a good time to pick them up, as in over the wicket comes Ricky Clark to Wheater. Wheater letting this one go on a length outside his off stump. Good crowd in again. There was a terrific crowd yesterday, and a very good crowd in again today, watching away. Sir Alistair Cook was signing copies of his autobiography last night when I left. Big queue to get into the bar area where he was sat at a trestle table.
Yes, there was also a Q&A with the chairman, John Farragher.
Right.
So I think they were there for two reasons, the Cook signing, and John Farragher will take any questions the members want to put to him.
Good day to have it. As over the wicket comes Ricky Clark, and this one's left by Wheater that comes back over the top of his off stump.
Yeah.
And the reaction of folks in Borthwick, that was not far away from the top of Adam Wheater's off and middle stump.
Well, sometimes players do that just to try and unnerve the batsman, but that was mighty close. It's what you call very fine judgment from Wheater, who's just played the one boundary shot this morning, but generally looks in good touch. 323 for 6 represents a lead of 149.
Yes, indeed. Very good lead for Essex. Played like a champion side yesterday, I thought, Essex. As here comes Clark to Wheater. Wheater covers up again, pushes down into the leg side. Will Jacks comes up to do the fielding, and there is no run. End of the over. 323 for 6 then, Essex. A lead of 149.
Yes, that 9th wicket partnership at the Aegeus, I think you said 199 for 8 is, I think 96 they've put on now for the 9th wicket, and that's just what you don't want when you're hoping to win your first Champions title for Somerset.
Put it this way, and there'll be Essex listeners shouting at me for saying this, but with the pressure that will be on Somerset down there at the Aegeus Bowl when they finally get out there, if they do manage to win that game, then in many ways they deserve to win the title, because there is so much pressure on them.
No, I think we're all agreed on that, as here comes Morkel in. Bowls to Tenduscarta, who pulls this ball away. Hasn't timed it, so he won't go for 4. He'll pick up 2 as the ball goes to deep square leg, and Amar Verdi nips round to do the fielding. And that takes Ryan Tenduscarta to 97, and Wheater has 4. Tenduscarta's only other 100 this season, I say other 100, he has only got one at this time of talking, was against Surrey at the Oval in April.
Yes, Surrey's first game of the season. Seems a while ago now.
Yeah. And yet, having said that, the season has absolutely flown by.
Yeah.
And what wonderful cricket we've seen this summer, as Morkel is in, bowls to Tenduscarta, and he's turned this one down fine. Folkes is the man herring after it. They could get 3 here. Wheater is mindful of this and is looking to see if they can take a third. They can't. Tenduscarta's on 99. Oh, in fact, their leg buys anyway. Thought he might have just got a bit of bat and pad in that, but proved wrong, and the score goes to 327 for 6, with 97 now to the Essex captain. But I say now, those didn't go to his credit. He still wants 3 for, if he makes it, it would be a really excellent 100.
Well, again with Ryan Tenduscarta, spoke about it yesterday, does it when it matters.
Yeah.
When it really is needed by Essex in Championship cricket.
2 slips a wide gully, Morkel Hayes close end. Tenduscarta just drops it into the onside and picks up the easiest of singles, and that takes him to 98, the score to 328 for 6 as Jamie Smith fields.
Worth his absolute weight in gold is Ryan Tenduscarta, because as I say, when it really matters, he seems to just go up a notch when there's something on it. Backs to the wall, I heard yesterday.
Essex certainly will feel, if they can get to 400, that they've perhaps atoned for the dropping of a bonus point at Edgbaston, where they really weren't on the money in their tactical thinking. They ended 299 for 8 at the end of the 110 overs. Morkel bowls to Wheater. Wheater defends. Jamie Smith fields running across in front of mid-on, and score remains at 328 for 6, which is a lead of 154.
Yeah, good lead as well, isn't it, for Essex already? Very good lead.
I think they'll feel, if they lead by 200, that they're not going to lose this game. and with a fine weather forecast, not just for today but for tomorrow as well, it doesn't look as if there are going to be any further interruptions to play. And I imagine we're on a 104 over day again today, making up for the first day loss of 50 overs. Wheater plays the next Morkel delivery just into the offside. There is no run, and score remaining at 328 for 6. This is the 93rd over, so Essex have another 17 overs after this, in which to get 22 for 350. Well, they'll clearly get that if they're not bowled out in the meantime, or 72 for the 400, which would give them maximum bonus points.
Oh, they are. It works completely. Who take it really seriously? Who have a team? Oh my God, yeah, they all come from...
Morkel's in, bowls to Wheater. Wheater plays it to Jamie Smith at mid-wicket. The over ends, and Essex 328 for 6 have added 26 this morning, with the skipper on 98 off 117 deliveries and Wheater 4.
Yes, and they've had a very good first 20 minutes this morning, Essex, as I say, with no great alarms, and they're heading towards another batting point. 22 more required. Ryan Tenduscarter on strike on 98. There's a bit of a conflab out there in the middle. Who are we seeing having a bowl? Amar Verdi, I think, is going to come into the attack because all the bits and pieces are being put on. This must be a late decision because all that stuff wasn't out there ready to go. So helmets are being brought on. Jacks is putting the pads on to go in at short leg. And of course Simon Harmer will have a big part to play second time round, so he'll be keeping an eagle eye on this, I would have thought.
Oh, absolutely right. Simon Harmer can expect to do plenty of bowling unless Messrs Porter and Cook, Sam Cook that is, start ripping through the top order of Surrey's second innings batting. But failing that, and probably in any case, the quick bowlers will need a rest from time to time, and Harmer, who bowled 59.5 overs at Edgbaston, took 6 for 143, and I said to him, your spinning finger must be sore. He said, no, that's not the problem, it's the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that, I mean, Trevor Bailey always used to say spinners get tired too, you know, and it is a point, and clearly when I spoke to him after that marathon stint, although he loves bowling, but you could see him sort of feeling the shoulder, and he wasn't just making it up.
Come on, Paul, because he's on 98 here, Ryan Tenduscarter.
Thank you very much. It's Amar Verdi to Tenduscarter on 98, slip in a back pad, and Tenduscarter clips the ball off the pads, and now he's on 99. A single out to mid-wicket, and Mark Stoneman, and scored to 329 for 6. Back to you when Tenduscarter's not on strike.
Okie dokie, so Wheater comes back on to strike now with 4 to his name, just keeping Ryan Tenduscarter company. At the moment, 329 for 6 as Verdi is in over the wicket to Wheater, who's forward and pushes this one out into the offside. Up comes Liam Plunkett to do the fielding in there at backward point. And there's no run. We've not got a cloud in the sky again today. Absolutely perfect day here in Chelmsford. Lovely temperature, blue skies, sun beating down as Verdi's in, tosses this one up to Wheater, who drives and takes the single up towards mid-off. Throw comes in from Jamie Smith, but he's safely home for the single, and it brings Ryan Tenduscarter back onto strike on 99.
Well, Jordan Clark backed that throw up well. I don't think it got particularly close to hitting the stumps, but nevertheless, fieldsman quite right to see if he could effect a run out, but Wheater's very quick between the wickets, and the throw didn't go to the danger end for this man, Ryan Tenduscarter. Will he get his second 100 of the season? Both of which will have come against Surrey. 100 at the Oval, will there be 100 at the county ground? Amar Verdi bowls to him and he drives, but he won't come here because good stop to his own bowling, and in any case Jamie Smith at mid-off, who threw that ball at the bowler's stumps from the previous delivery, would easily have cut that off. It wasn't particularly well timed, that from Tenduscarter. Settles over his bat on 99. And 2 balls left of this over. He bowls now to Tenduscarter, and Tenduscarter back cuts, and there it is. 100 for the captain. Goes to the boundary there. 4 runs. He moves on to 103. Essex race up to 334 for 6. And a wonderful innings from the captain, made from 120 deliveries only, with 12 fours, no sixes.
Very well batted, Ryan Tendescarter. As I say, when it really matters, this bloke comes up for his team. Tremendous innings, and he's pushing Essex into a very strong position. 16 runs away now from a fourth batting point.
And back to you. Thank you very much.
Well, no, quite right too. It's the sort of ball you're looking for, though, isn't it? When you're on 99,
Yes.
short, wide one, and cut away with aplomb. As over the wicket comes Birdie, then to Tendescarter, forward he comes. And that rolls out into the offside, and there is no run into the over. 334 for 6. Essex 5 to Wheater. Tendescarter on 103, and that lead now has moved on to 160.
And do we have an update from the
I can get you one,
Cheers.
sir.
Thank
Yes.
you.
The latest I have, Wi-Fi permitting, is Hampshire now 204 for 8. So a lead of 258 now, and Abbott's got 21. Vince is on 125.
Well, certainly it's all going well for Essex, as here comes Morkel in from the Hayes close end, bowls to Wheater. Wheater defends. Morkel fields to his own bowling. 334 for 6 with 103 to Ryan Tendescarter. Both his hundreds coming against Surrey, and for whatever reason he just loves playing against Surrey, because in a game I described a day or two ago, I think it was yesterday, at Guildford in 2009 I think it was, he got 160 odd not out, and he got another 160 odd not out at Guildford again 2 years ago. This next ball's hit down the ground to mid-on by Wheater, and there's no run. 334 for 6. And my colleague Nick Gledhill, who is not with us today but was here on the first 2 days, always describes that Essex win at Guildford in what was the 5th game of the season as it might have been the 6th game actually, as the key sort of turning point for Essex, that game. And of course Tendescarter's big 100. Surrey had made big runs first innings, they got 399. It made all the difference as Morkel's in, bowls, and Wheater stabs the ball into the offside. There's no run. 334 for 6. And last year, of course, as you described yesterday, Mark, his 53 not out saw Essex over the line in one of the great championship matches I think there's ever been at the Oval at the end of the season.
I've seen him win 20 games on his own.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, in T20.
Yeah, so he does it in all forms. But I just think this is why he's so valuable. When it really matters, he turns up.
Yeah, of course, he's the only British-based player to have been bought at auction for the IPL 5 years running. As this ball's played into the offside, I interviewed him once and said, you know, you've been to the IPL 4 years running? He said, 5.
5. Get it right.
Yes, he's a stickler for detail, and quite rightly so. 334 for 6, wonderful player for Essex. And when he first came to this club, we thought, what a funny name. And then he made his debut at Arundel in 2003, and he was never seen nor heard of again until 2005. So he didn't have a particularly auspicious start, but how he made up for lost time as Morkel's in and bowls to Wheater. Wheater edged, and it bounces just in front of the diving Pope in the gully. It wasn't a chance. He did well to get across there, but literally another foot of carry on that, and Pope, who's a very fine fieldsman, would have clung on to it low down. And not a chance, though. Wheater remains on 5, 334 for 6 in the 95th.
I think this is driving Morne Morkel mad this morning.
Yeah.
He said ball's flying past Ollie Pope, and then that one doesn't carry.
But I agree with something you said earlier. I was saying yesterday, Jordan Clark is just the right pace on this particular pitch. I'm sure he will take over from Morkel before long, and I think he could be the one to break the partnership if Morkel doesn't, which he won't to this ball as he goes through outside off stump. The end of the over. I'll shortly be doing an update into the BBC Essex News. 334 for 6.
Well, I'll leave you for the time being, because that's my half an hour. Bring Johnny Barron in, and then Dick Davis will take over from you, Paul, once you've done your update.
Thank you very much. So 334 for 6. 32 runs added this morning without loss, nearly all of them to Ryan Tendescarter, who's moved on from 78 to 103. And Amar Birdie will bowl again from the river end. Essex's lead, meanwhile, has gone up to 160. And Varun Chopra is going to join us. Very nice to see you, Varun. As Verdi is in and bowls, and this ball is out. And that is the end of Ryan ten Doeschate as he makes his way out of the arena. He's just edged that one through, and he departs for magnificent 103. Terrific innings, Varun.
Yeah, great return to form from the skipper. One of those players, when his back's to the wall, he always comes up with the goods, and he's done for years and years for Essex, and really timely innings for him and for the team.
Certainly has been, and you hear the applause now. The crowd rise to Ryan ten Doeschate, and he's not milking it. He has a word with the incoming batsman to make sure that he's on message. Ten Doeschate acknowledges the applause of a standing ovation here from a wonderful third-day crowd here at Chelmsford.
Yeah, really good innings, as I said, from Ryan, captain again, leading from the front, putting the boys in a strong position here going into day 3. I think if we can bat the morning session and possibly a bit after lunch, then that should be quite a healthy lead on this wicket, and then let the bowlers get back to work.
So he's caught by Clark at slip off Amar Verdi, just nibbling that one through as he went to back Carter, a stroke that brings him countless runs, but on this occasion was his undoing. 334 for 7. That does rather alter the dimensions of potential batting bonus points for Essex. If they're not bowled out, they will certainly get a 4th batting bonus point, 334 for 7, but it does make it less likely that they'll get the 66 they need in just under 15 overs to reach 400. Just going into the BBC Essex 11 o'clock news in a moment, but Simon Harmer has come out to the middle. He is not only no mug with the bat, but he has a tendency to make good runs in the month of September, Varun.
Yeah, he does. He saves his best for the last month of the season. As we said, obviously we'll be looking towards getting that 350 now in the 110 overs, so that should be achievable. And
yes, but just going into the 11 o'clock news. Well, another good start for Essex, although they have just lost the skipper Ryan ten Doeschate, but not before he reached a magnificent 100. 103 he made. His last scoring stroke was a back cut to the backward point boundary. 103 off 120 deliveries, but then he was caught at slip by Ricky Clark off the off-spinner Amar Verdi for that 103. So Essex are 334 for 7. Simon Harmer, who generally makes good runs in the month of September, has come out to join Adam Wheater, who's on 5. Essex requires 16 more runs for a 4th batting point and 66 more in the remaining 14 and a bit overs if they're to get maximum points here. The latest we heard from the Aegeus is that Hampshire is still going with a century partnership for the 9th wicket, and Hampshire are 250 odd in front playing Somerset. 334 for 7 here. So still Amar Verdi, you just missed a dot ball there, and 334 for 7 as he comes up from the river end. We've got a slip, a bat pad and a short mid-wicket in, and Verdi bowls, and that ball is just tucked off the pads, and there's no run, and we're still in this over, which saw Ryan ten Doeschate disappear for the first ball, caught at slip, and that brilliant 103. So 2 centurions in this Essex innings. Haven't been many at Chelmsford this season as Verdi bowls, and this ball is played back down the pitch. It's time to welcome Dick Davis, and perhaps he'd talk for a moment or two about Varun, particularly your 300s in 5 matches in the 50 over competition. You'll be joined by Dick Davis.
yeah, obviously started off pretty well on the one-day camp. Disappointing campaign from a team point of view, barring the injury. Didn't know how it went personally. I'd like to play a bit more cricket this year, but looking forward to a really exciting time and exciting few days left of the season where hopefully Essex can get some silverware.
Right, so the ring gets up a little bit on Wheater. Not that that's difficult because he's only a little fella, but in fact, yeah, when you see the two main combatants, Morley Morkel and Adam Wheater, there's quite a difference in height. There must probably be the best part of a foot in difference in height, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a bit of a David and Goliath battle going on out there.
Yes,
but,
quite.
you know, Wheats is looking pretty solid at the moment, so hopefully he can build a partnership with Simon Harmer and take us over to that 350 score.
Yes, as Morecambe moves in now and bowls, and that's nudged away backward of square at 45 degrees down to Verdi, who took that last wicket. So with Jamie Porter having come in last night, the batsmen to come Aaron Beard and Sam Cook, neither of whom are mugs with the bat at all. We've seen both of them. Well, I've seen Aaron Beard get a lot of runs for Chelmsford Cricket Club when I've been following club cricket, and Sam Cook was instrumental in Essex getting a draw up at Headingley when we were up there. I don't know when, a couple of months ago or so, as Morecambe moves in and bowls, and that's just played defensively by Harmer. You would think, given the situation, and it wouldn't be for the first time in his time at Essex, that Harmer's probably going to be the key later in this match, isn't he?
Yeah, we just saw, I think, that last over from Amaverdi where a little bit of spin coming.
Yes.
So I think looks like it's going to be a nice warm dry day today, so the pitch will be drying out further. I think there's signs of it drying out already as you scratch around in the warm-up. So you know, disappointed it is to lose wickets. If Amaverdi takes them, then it's encouraging for Simon Harmer, obviously, with his record and his performance for the last few years for the club coming into that third innings.
Yeah, that's just played out to mid-on, and he has been, well, a revelation, hasn't he, really, since he's been here?
Absolutely, yeah, unbelievable signing. You know, his performances in Red Bull cricket, particularly for the club, and just his sort of character in the dressing room, his catching the slips, useful low order runs. So you know, he's just a really, really solid cricketer.
Yes, three-dimensional, I think, is the current phrase, isn't it? As Morecambe moves in again from the Hayes Close end, bowls, and played up just backward of square on the offside, fielded by Will Jacks. So 174 off 335 is 161, my O-level maths makes it, so it's an extremely useful lead at the moment, and obviously Essex will be wanting to build it up, well, as much as possible. I mean, there's still the best part of 2 days to go, so they'll just be batting on and on, won't they?
Absolutely. Try and get as many first innings runs as possible, obviously with an eye on that bonus point situation. Then after that, it's about keeping Surrey out in the field in the heat for as long as possible.
Yes, quite.
Wearing them down, getting some tired legs in their batters, and then hopefully catch them off guard with the new ball, and then let Simon Harmer go to work at one end. So that will very much be the game plan from Essex, but obviously still got to do the hard work and carry it out.
Yes, played out into the covers. Yeah, you make a good point, because I'm always very interested in sort of the mental attitude, because cricketers contribute to popular belief for human beings as well as sportsmen. Yeah, I mean, as an opening bat, if you're out in a sort of day, maybe not so much now, but if it were even later in the day, you know, and you've been toiling all the way, and you know darn well that sometime before the close of play, you've got to strap your pads on and going into bat. Is that, when you're in the field, weighing on your mind a little bit?
Yeah, it's, as an opening batsman, it's one of those things that you're...
Oh, and well, Wheater, a bit of an injudicious shot. He came down the wicket and trying to hit Verdi back over his head, missed it, and it was a pretty easy stumping, especially for somebody of Ben Folkes' ability.
Yeah, nice bit of bowling there from Amaverdi. Just looks like he's perhaps just slowed it up a little bit today from yesterday. Given the ball a little bit more chance to spin. Wheats obviously danced down the track, looking to hit it into the river and not quite connected.
No, quite.
But yeah.
And sort of an opening batsman when you're fielding, knowing that you're going to have to bat sometime before the day. Yes, you sort of.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying. I think there's a time frame where, as a batsman, you're okay with. Once it gets below 6 overs, I think as a batsman you haven't got much to gain there. You're going to be 6-10 not out overnight, which isn't much. So you feel like the bowlers have everything to gain and you have everything to lose.
Yes, exactly.
After that sort of period, you get 8 overs, 10 overs. You know, you could be 20-25 not out overnight. That's quite nice as an opening batsman, waking up knowing you've got a score to your board as you walk out at 10:30 the next morning. So, you know, there's pros and cons. I think as normal, you've got to try and stay positive and look at it as an example where sometimes bowlers strive a bit hard and search for the wicket, because they've only got 6 overs or 3 overs each to bowl, so they might search and give you a clip or want to score off. So it can create opportunities, but you know, nowadays it's not always the best time to bat.
No. No. So, Aaron Beard, left-handed batsman, right-handed bowler, comes in, just taking guard from umpire. It's Gould and Saggers. It's Gould at this end. Yes, Gould is considerably shorter than Saggers. Saggers had I'm never sure if he's on Essex's books or just on loan, but he certainly played here.
Yeah,
he was on loan.
I played with him. He was on loan from Kent. Surprisingly, couldn't get into the Kent side that year.
Yes.
Came to Johnson and did really well for us. I remember a fifer he took. And yeah, a really good bowler in his day.
Verdi round the wicket to Beard, who just played that defensively, and goes on the back foot this time, plays it out into the covers. Well, not the covers, no, sort of short mid-off. Talking of Kent, I mean, Darren Stevens is a phenomenon, isn't he? He just goes on and on and on. This week in particular, almost as if he's trying to say something to the Kent committee. That's just played solidly, defensively. As I say, Aaron Beard in for Chelmsford, he bats sort of round about 3, 4, 5, I think, but obviously it's a big step up to this level, but he's no mug at all. And
no, he's more than capable with the bat.
Yes, he certainly is.
Definitely a lot of potential there to work with.
And he's nudged that down to fine leg, and the famously or notoriously, depending which way you look at it, short boundary, it doesn't accommodate the taking of a 4, it's just hauled in before it crosses the rope, so it's only 2, but many a time the thinnest of edges can go for 4 down there, particularly for T20 when the boundaries are brought in even more. Talking of T20, big day ahead on Saturday.
Yeah, I think as a club everyone's really excited in that dressing room. Obviously we've got 2 days remaining here.
Yeah, well, yes, first things first.
The T20 look forward to, and then 4 exciting days at Somerset. So
yes,
you know, it's why you play the game, to be involved in days like the boys are going to have. So, you know, they're really much looking forward to it.
And has the fact that, in all honesty, and I'm sure all the players would admit it as well, the fact that it's actually a bit of a surprise to get to the final stage, has that made it all the more exciting in a way? Because 2 or 3 weeks ago you wouldn't have thought there was realistically any chance of being there at all.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes that's the best way.
Yes.
I remember a year at Warwickshire when I think the year we won it, where you snuck in through the last game when I think Yorkshire chased 200 against Notts or something like that to make us qualify, but we were all but out at the time. Managed to qualify in the last group stage, and then I think we beat Essex, actually Warwickshire beat Essex here in the quarter-final, and then went on to finals day and lifted a trophy. So
as Ricky Clark comes in, that rather characteristic approach, sort of barrel-chested approach to the wicket, moves in, bowls played out on the offside. No addition to the score. 337 for 8, so a lead of 163, still with two useful wickets in hand.
Yeah, certainly slightly stiff-looking delivery from Ricky Clark there, old teammate of mine.
Of course, yes, because he was at Warwickshire as well, wasn't he?
Another cricketer who seems to be getting better with age, as you mentioned, Darren Stevens earlier.
Yes.
I think nowadays the cricketers are actually playing until they're a bit older, and the amount of fitness work that professional cricketers do and the way they look after themselves, even though they are playing all formats, you still see guys performing well into their late 30s and early 40s now, which is good.
Yeah, Ricky Clark, born in Essex, which we often mention. I think maybe he and his family must have moved when he was quite young, because I don't think he ever played club cricket or anything in Essex. Lived in Alsett, but perhaps they were just passing through. Perhaps they just played out on the side. No addition to the score. I mean, you never. Am I right? He's never played club cricket. You never played club cricket against him when you were playing club cricket?
No, he's got a few years on me as well.
Well, yes, of course. Yes, I'm sorry, but nevertheless, that
he was a Surrey youth product through and through. Obviously went through their youth system and broke on at an early age. Played for England at an early age, and obviously returned back to his home club and doing really well for him.
Moves in now. Tall, fair-haired, bowls now. And thick inside half of the bat, but safely enough goes out for a single on the onside.
Yeah, that one just nipping back off the seam there from Ricky. That is his danger ball generally. When you're facing him, he does try to set you up with his away swingers, and then he bowls like a three-quarter seam ball, which generally darts back into your pads.
Yes.
So no, good piece of bowling there, but nice to get a single from Simon Harmer and get down the other end.
So he resets the field to accommodate the left-handed Aaron Beard. Field now comprises 2 slips and a gully. Just seeing whether, yes, it is 2 slips and a gully. Then a point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and probably a long leg down below the Tom Pearce stand, which is always just out of our vision, and inevitably where the ball frequently goes to, which we can't describe. As Ricky Clark moves in and bowls. That's just played solidly, trickles out on the onside. And going back to the T20, the quarter-final, you made the trip to Chester Street, did you?
No, I wasn't actually there, no. I saw most of it from the sofa.
Oh, right. Well, we did, and we were all right because we were in a nice, cosy commentary box, but I was talking to Tom Wesley afterwards, and he said all the years he's been playing professional cricket, he's never been so cold. And he said that easterly wind, when it whips across Chester Street, then it cuts right through you. That's just nice played out. Very pleasant shot into the covers.
Just hit the field there, unfortunately, but nice little confidence booster for him, finding the middle of the bat.
Yep.
Not sure I've had many warm experiences of Durham as a cricketer. And still remember Paul Collingwood always fielding a short sleeve shirt and zip the whole time somehow. When we're all got 4, 5, 6 layers on trying to keep warm, and he's standing with a short sleeve shirt on. So. Different. I think they're different breed up there.
It's almost a culture up there, isn't it? That whether they're cricketers or not, they're sort of totally oblivious to the weather. And I remember, when I spoke to him, Tom Wesley said, and I ought to have known better because I went to university at Durham, so I should have been acclimatised to it. Verdi in from the river end, the end from which we commentate, moves in now, bowls to Simon Harmer, who plays that with authority, but straight to straightish extra cover. No addition to the score of 338.
Yeah, but he certainly slowed his pace up a little bit more today than yesterday, Verdi. It's obviously reflecting on how he bowled yesterday.
Yes.
Bowling coaches have spoken to him, and it certainly looks like he's just allowing it to spin a little bit more and trying to have a bit more flight and guard to his bowling today.
Moves in on bowls, and that's shoulder length again, played out this time off the back foot, but the result's the same.
Yeah,
ball goes out.
Two good shots again from Simon.
Yeah.
Just hitting the field. So it's important now that he forgets about him and doesn't get too frustrated the fact it's hit the field and concentrates on the next ball.
Early in again. And again, it's really only 3 people playing this game at the moment, which are Ollie Pope, Verdi and Simon Harmer. 3 deliveries have all gone in that triangle. Yeah. Next one comes in. Bowls. And yet again.
4 in a row.
4 in a row. From the bowler to the batsman and out to shortish extra. Back to the bowler who moves in now. Just a half dozen trotting paces, moves in, and that's well fielded, diving away to his left at mid off, and end of the over. And we're obviously going to Taunton next week, and I gather you're going as well, working for another BBC radio station, and it all looks as if it is going to be the big crunch game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously the lads have got an eye on what's going on with Hampshire and Somerset at the moment.
Well, yes. It's just the over's completed, just the ball trickling out to mid-off.
Vin and Abbott, I believe, are still going strong there, that Marks Lucky partnership, so hopefully they can set them as large a total as possible, and Abbott can do his thing again with the ball in the first innings, and then obviously it is it's up to us here but we're putting ourselves into a strong position. And then, as you said, next week at Somerset will be all to play for. I think you can, if the weather permits, I think you can guarantee it'll be a result wicket.
Oh yes, as Clark moves in and bowls, and that's just played solidly. It's somewhat ironic now that you know we're all those with Essex affiliations are rooting for Hampshire, because I remember the opening game of the season down at Southampton was, I would say, by some distance Essex's worst performance of the season. It wasn't good, was it?
Yeah, things have definitely improved since then.
Yeah, well, yes. And oh, what's this from Mark? Is it an update? Who is on with Dick? It says, I beg your pardon, I'm talking to Tavarin Chopra as the next delivery comes in, and that's whipped away on the onside, and 1 run accrues, moving it on to 313 for 8. Yes, I mean, remarkable considering that first performance, and I mean, I've spoken to several of the players, you know, they've admitted it was a, you know, very disappointing performance, but to come back, and I mean, it's been an incredible season thereafter, hasn't it?
Certainly, I think obviously our home form in particular has been outstanding. Obviously, to win every game up to this point at home, I think that's always going to be the basis of a strong title challenge.
Yeah, well, yes.
This is your home form, so
yes.
The cricket we've played here has been, you know, outstanding.
As Clark, with an E, moves in again and bowls. Ricky Clark, rather than Jordan Clark, played out in the offside. No addition to the score. It was an aeroplane inevitably whirls away over ahead, going off in a southeasterly direction towards where I live in Southend. And the score 340 for 8. Another glorious day, and inevitably a very, very good crowd. You don't realise sometimes how well Essex are supported until you go to away games, and they don't have that luxury. And it's just played out. Aaron Beard gets totally in line, plays it out on the onside. I mean, admittedly it's the most popular part, admittedly on a lovely day, late summer or early autumn day like this, but the top of the Tom Pearce stand is almost full, and in front of us the Riverside stand is full, and even on the public side out by the executive apartments. And no, and I mean, the players must appreciate playing in front of a supportive home crowd.
Of course, I think the Essex crowd's always been very loyal to
yes,
the side.
they have.
You know, we're very well supported in the 4-day cricket in particular, as well as the white ball cricket. So it does make a difference, as you can see. You know, the ovation that Ryan got for his 100,
yes.
And moments like in the game, it does sound like there's a lot more than 2,000 or 3,000 in, for sure.
Yes, that delivery did rather get the better of Aaron Beard, moved away off the wicket and just goes down a few yards and prods the wicket, but a good delivery from Clark there. A moral victory, but they don't count in scorebooks.
Experienced Ricky Clark there, just pushing the ball across Aaron Beard. Just followed it a touch, but fortunate not to get the edge.
Clark in again. Bowls to Beard, who has the luxury of just going forward and then lifting the bat out of the way, and it goes through to Ben Folkes, formerly Essex, formerly of these parts, and you also used to play for Frinton Cricket Club, who need to be congratulated because they won the East Anglian Premier League. Well, last weekend was the final weekend of the season. They'd actually won it the previous weekend, and I noticed that Adam Wheat has been playing a little bit for them, and former Essex player Jake Wickleburgh's playing a lot. So, yeah, well done, Frinton. You can't get higher than winning in club cricket these parts than winning the East Anglian Premier League. That's played out in the offside. Probably a couple of runs here, as it's just to the left of the man in the covers, and indeed they do go through for 2. I'm just trying to remember, was it Chingford you played your club cricket? Ilford. I knew it was somewhere up that way. I knew it ended in Ford.
Ilford in sort of East London, Essex.
They're not having such a good time lately.
No,
I think they got relegated this season.
Yeah. Been a bit of a yo-yo club recently, I think, Ilford.
Yes. But it's
changes there.
Have there? It's produced so many fine cricketers, I mean, including you and Nasser Hussain and Graham Gooch played there.
Yep, that Ilford Cricket School's still a place that I visit for a bit of training.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. It's just on my doorstep, so...
Beardy moves in, short of a length, chopped away for 4. Super shot there from Harmer. Rocked onto the back foot. And you can just hear what a good crowd there is. Admittedly, it was a good shot, but yeah, the whole crowd enjoyed that. They're enjoying everything about this. Not least the weather, of course. I mean, it's amazing for whatever it is, the 18th of September.
No, Simon hit the field 4 times. Hit the cover field the last over, but this time he's just opened the face a touch and managed to find the gap and push the rate along to Essex.
And the next ball he treats with utmost respect and just plays it defensively. It trickles out on the onside. Picked up by Liam Plunkett, who's fielding at short leg. Just 3 or 4 yards from the bat. And Verdi in again and bowls, and that's whipped away on the onside. Goes out to I ought to know these fielders by now. This is day 3 to Jordan Clark, yes. And the score moves on to 347 for 8. 2 to Aaron Beard and 10 to Simon Harmer. Beard facing and therefore being left-handed. Verdi goes round the wicket. And again, it's allowed to go through into the gauntlets of Ben Folkes. End of the over. So, when you're working for BBC Radio next week, will that be your official media debut? We don't count this.
Yeah, I believe so. This has been a nice little warm-up towards that. You know, so it'd be great to sort of have a really nice view of the game and seeing two of the sides this year go at it. You know, I'm sure it's going to be a very good 4 days. Obviously, depending on what happens with results over the next 2 days, you know, there'll be a lot of possibilities.
The weather forecast is distinctly iffy at best. So really, come back to that after this. Interestingly, 2 short mid-wickets to Simon Harmer, who opens the blade of the bat, plays it backward of square. It will just about be caught up before it... No, it won't. Well, the fielder got a hand to it, but it still evaded his grasp. And that brings up the 350 and another bonus point. And so that's the 4th batting point, which is 4 more than Hampshire got, than Somerset got.
Yeah, rare batting points.
Yes.
Haven't had too many of those, so it's been a really good effort by the batting side to get those 4 batting points, as you said.
As again, that's played out into the covers. No addition to the score. 8 overs of the first 110 to go, so realistically it's unlikely that 6 will get next bonus. But that oh yes, I know I was going to talk about unfortunately the weather forecast is not good at all for the West Country next week. So it really makes it all the more important that you go into that game with a lead, doesn't it?
Certainly, yeah. Whoever's number 1 going into next week with a slightly iffy forecast will be in pole position.
Whipped off his toes there just for a single down to Verdi at long leg, just down towards but not as far as the main scoreboard rather.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Essex play the next sort of 7.5 overs. If they do feel they can go a runnable and try to push up to 400, or if they're quite happy playing the really long game and trying to get a really large first innings score.
I mean, under these, didn't mean to interrupt. Under these circumstances, you know, would they know that there's a plan, or do they, to a certain extent, decide it between themselves, or has the skipper or Anthony McGrath said, you know, we're really going to strive for the maximum points?
At the moment, the batsman will be in charge of the situation.
Yeah.
They'll be aware of what the plans and what we want them to do. I think if it gets to sort of perhaps 30 or 4 overs and the batsman's confident, and then there might be a message to go out. But my feelings are that they'll go for the long, play the long game and try ball bounced up.
Still a run accrued, so it moves it on to 353. Beard on 3 and 15 to Simon Harmer, who stands at the far end, leaning on his bat. Mark turns quite a longish run. Moves in now. Bowls. Oh, and well held at second slip by Ollie Pope, and just looking to. Was he looking to try and play it over the top of the slips, or did he just mistime it completely?
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to definitely score down to that third man region.
Yes.
A little bit of bounce there from tall Ricky Clark, and actually a good catch from Ollie Pope.
It was.
Reverse cup, just diving away to his left, and well taken.
So that means Essex are 354 for 9, and Sam Cook will shortly be, indeed he is now, making his way to the crease.
Yeah, another guy who can. He's certainly improved his batting,
yes.
and has a potential to be quite useful actually. Certainly shapes up well with the bat. It's quite a simple technique, more than capable of hanging around here with Simon and adding to this first innings total.
Yes, well, yeah, we were certainly impressed with his. Well, obviously we've been impressed with his bowling, but we were quite impressed with his batting, as I say, up at Headingley. I can't remember how many he got. I don't have a photographic memory like some of my colleagues, but he certainly batted really well at the end, and certainly avoided or put quite a few points.
Yeah, there's a nice little healthy competition now between Sam Cook and Jamie Porter about who's number 10 and who's number 11. So I know little chef as we call him, Cook, is trying to get off the number 11 spot, but Jamie's hanging on and obviously doesn't want to let that number 10 spot go either, so no, it's good for us.
Well, of course on the card Jamie Porter was at number 11, but he came in earlier as night watchman, so
yeah, we saw Sam Cook be night watchman at Edgbaston last week.
Yes.
Jamie's done it this week, so no, good healthy competition for our 2 opening bowlers.
Yes, that's nudged. That was the last ball of the over, and therefore it's Verdi bowling from this end, the beginning of the next over, to Simon Harmer, just nudged away backward of square on the offside, but no run accrues.
Yeah, with 6 men on the boundary now from Simon Harmer. Surrey quite happy to give him the single and bowl at Sam Cook at the other end.
And that's lofted away for 6, right into the middle of the Tom Pearce, the Tom Pearce stand, and I think somebody actually caught it. A gentleman in a blue shirt, and
Just out of my sight.
yes, I had to. The last thing I want to do is push you out. But you did say you've got a meeting at 12:30 or 11:30.
Yeah.
It can wait, look at it.
I think I'll watch this over out. It could be an entertaining over, this one, with Simon Harmer off spinner to off spinner, looking for a bit of length or a little bit of flight, and looking to deposit him into the river.
And so Verdi moves in again. That took Harmer on to 22. That's his shirt number, and he waits for that to come on to him. Oh, and that hurried through, and I'm not quite sure if Ben Folkes actually appealed, or it was just...
No, just clipped the foothold there.
Yes.
Bit of turn and bounce from Amir Verdi, which again, Simon will be
He'll have
really
mixed
encouraged by.
yes.
Yeah, no, you'll be looking forward to seeing that.
360 for 9. So a lead of... Oh, don't do mental arithmetic live on air. 186? Does that sound about right? Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. And Verdi moves in again and bowls. And that's worked away with a flick of the wrists down to mid-wicket for a single. So it brings Cook down to the piss end to face his first delivery, taking guard from umpire Ian Gunnar Gould, who they always say had a brief career as a goalkeeper, which I find absolutely amazing. He must be the shortest goalkeeper in captivity. As Verdi moves in and bowls, and Cook plays that calmly, quietly. End of the over, and no addition to the score of 361 for 9. Well, thanks ever so much, Aaron, for joining us for half an hour, and we'll see you down at Taunton next week for our respective radio stations. We hope to be commentating on an Essex victory.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers. And we'll do a double change, but we'll do it in two stages now, as Varun is off, and somebody and very shortly afterwards he will take place. Until then, Ricky Clark is moving in and bowling, and worked away on the onside, but it's not a single, and for the first time today, owing to circumstances, we're joined by Johnny Barron. Good morning. Yes, it is still just about morning.
Still just morning. What a glorious morning it is. We're in the Essex Riviera. Well, not quite the Essex Riviera, but the sea can't be that far away.
No, Essex Riviera is where I live, on the down the South End way. I bet that seafront is buzzing this morning. The little cafes and the amusement arcades, and that's without appeal for LBW. Does not meet with the approval of the umpire, and instead it goes for a leg bye down to fine leg. 362 for none.
I have to say that the championship race, fantastic shape, isn't it? Hampshire finally subsided. Yeah, they have set required 181 win. That's the equation of the Aegeus. But here, that lead very handily placed at 188. In glorious conditions.
Yes, they are. And so I'll make way at the end of this over for Paul Newton.
Yeah, Mark Church will come.
Mark Church, even it will be monopoly by Surrey.
Taking over.
This
is the London takeover.
It was a time. It was going to happen.
I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? And a few still changes, one of which only looks like a change of personnel, mid-on and mid-off swap places for no reason. I'm sure there is one, as Clark moves balls. You could almost see what was going through Cook's mind there. Hit it through the cover. Now it's quite there, hitting, so I'll withdraw the bat instead, which he duly does.
Yeah, it did. Trying to lace that through the offside. It's a big runner there. Stances. And Watchman havoc.
Yes. As Clark moves in again, bowls to Cook. Cook plays out into the onside.
What have that? In my humble experience as a match day announcer, never trust the card, Dick. Never trust the card.
No, we often think it was probably written by Hans Christian Andersen.
If we all went off the card, where would we be?
Yes. As the sun continues to shine brightly out of an almost clear blue sky. It's just ridiculous for the 18th of September. As the next delivery comes in and bowls, and just played very solidly and very defensive by Cook. End of the over, and after a few more words from Johnny Barron, he'll be joined by his colleague of some years, Mark Church.
2 years.
Really?
Charles, he's might even 13.
Grief, I thought you were still at school then.
Wow. Very kind. I've been out short now as well. Although having yes. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Fortress Dolphin, Chelmsford, and in front of this fantastic crowd yet again, packed to the rafters over here at Tom Piersand, and 6 over hand lead of 188 will be out there. He'll be operating here from the River End. Goes into Simon Harmer, who's looking to work away on the onside and won't take the single. And Mark Church is alongside, and the first time we've been on air again. I think we come to a brief moment.
Well, you know, if you will go away, Baron, it's very difficult to be on air with you from when you're overseas and leave early. It's very hard. Very hard.
You're ready, pushing forward. That might is under the contact. Denied. No, it was
from looping to the air. Morning this for 6 again. Recap what this means with what's going on at Ashes for every point. Because it's all getting to the nitty gritty now.
Birdie again, chips in, it's a slog sweep. All that looks like it. He has. Simon Harmer with another 6. Into the bottom tier, Tom down the previous over. And he's up to 29 now. And that lead up to 194, handy.
My spies are telling me that it's getting easier to bat at the Ageas Bowl, that it has definitely flattened out at the Ageas Bowl.
Here is Birdie and short and whipped into the onside, only as far as Mark Stoneman at mid-wicket, and there's no run.
So 281 for Somerset to win. They're 13 without loss down there at the Ageas Bowl. So my spies tell me if they can get through Abbott without too much damage, it could be okay, Somerset, but it's a big old arse. There's a bit of pressure on them there, knowing what's at stake.
Birdie, tight to the stumps, another slog sweep away by Simon Harmer, who's got it just in front of square, through square leg. Another boundary to Harmer. Not exactly where he was looking to tug that really through the wicket, but effective nonetheless. He goes up to 33 now, and that lead 198.
Yeah, and this is important. We're in the 106th over, 28 away from what would be a final batting point for Essex. They could still get there with Harmer swinging from the hip like this.
Yeah, be useful. Might be useful, especially if Hampshire end up conceding down at the Ageas Bowl. Here is Birdie, reverse sweep, and that's played really well. Oh, brilliant. Harmer has played superbly in this over, and overall he goes up to 37. As that whistles away for 4 on the angle through third man. And that lead now, well, up and over 200, 202. Essex 376 for 9 now.
So this is on now for Essex to get up to their final batting point as well. Now, where we stand is, if Somerset lose, they would be on 208 points at the end of the game against Hampshire. If they win, if they chase them, they'd be on 224. Now, from this point here, if Essex are all out before they get to that 400 and win the game, they would be on 220 points. If they'd on 209. As over the wicket comes Ricky Clark and he's end forward. Side Cook, and if they lost, they'd be 146. If you get to the 400 and win 220, if Somerset lose, open up a 13 gap into Taunton next week. If they drew, they're on 210 points, which Somerset lose would be a 220 for Essex. As in over the wicket comes Ricky Clark, and Cook is back out there to cover. And there's none. So they will tell us more about what's next week at Taunton. But as I say, my spies are telling me down at the Ageas Bowl that they back on down there. More than that, in many ways, it's just pressure. Knowing if they win there, if they win that game, they'd be on 204 games next week. Again, of course. Close it to Cook. Back. Rolls out there towards Hector. Must they lose? And Essex from this point win, Essex will open up a 12-point gap. Government would change the entire neck today. Could the entire complexion of what's going to happen in the championship.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's going to what?
It may not, because as I say, Essex would win from this position. Lose, as in over the wicket, Geeks is hooked away by Cook. Down to the leg boundary run for 4. 3 something. Things did here. Cook by Clark. Can't go up at the up to that 400. That's for the lead at the moment. 200. Really just keeping on this extra at the moment for Essex. And 3 overs after this one to get to the 400. Again, as we Clark away there in the distance. And then over the wicket. And Cook tries to edges it on tap. Runs away a leg clear out the window because they take a signal and that pressure on to strike. In many ways, that becomes more important. 6 this game were to end draw, we lost, that would either, if they lost double, they would be 19 points behind Somerset. As Somerset down the
Miracle territory, they're right.
draw, and the next week with a 2-point lead. So that's how much is riding on all of this, and if they were to get this extra point, win, and Somerset lose, it would be a 13-point lead going to Taunton. Over the wicket then comes Ricky Clark to Harmer. Short ball pulled by Harmer out towards the backward square. It's going to race away for 4. They're on for this now, Essex. 385 for 9. 3 overs to pick up another 15 runs and pick up that final 5th batting point for Essex.
Yeah, waited for it nicely. He's playing a really important hand here. 41 or 43. He's a useful cricketer, isn't he? I think their eyes firmly on him when he becomes available next year. Or eligible, I should say.
Especially if Chris Silverwood's there, go.
Yes, it would be handy. Absolutely. Well, he brought him over in the first place, didn't he? What an acquisition he's proved to be in his 3rd season here for Essex. Amar Verdi will be operating. Cook is not out on 5. He's at the striker's end. 15 to go for that next batting point. Here is Verdi. He's into Cook. He's playing off the back foot. The other factor is the 400 overs. Sorry, did I say 400 overs? 100 overs is, I think 100 overs is, I think, what I'm aiming at. Verdi from this river end. He was in driving his Cook outside that off stump. Missing.
Yeah, just the first 110, isn't it? First 110 overs for the bonus points. So that's why now you've got 2.4 overs, 16 balls.
Verdi again to Cook, who's pushing forward. Yeah, hasn't quite got the array of shots that Harmer, who's nestling on his bat at the other end, has. Is Cook, he's on 5 not out. Verdi, top of his mark, skips in. He's in, tossed up to Cook, who's driving elegantly. Only as far as Jamie Smith up at mid-off, and there's no run. Beautiful weather here, 2nd consecutive day of lovely weather. Packed the rafters in the members. Verdi is in, all looking to cut. Inside edge on his pad. Fuse and ours, another dot. Just 1 ball to go in the over. And big queues around the block to get into the ground. Plenty on the trains this morning, all heading in this direction. Verdi again, tossed up to Cook, who strikes him on the pad outside the line. Not a great deal of a shot offered. Nothing given. Gould wanders away. End of the over. Essex 385 for 9.
Ooh, 12 balls left. 15 runs needed. Actually, at this point, we're building it up. But as I say, it will only really be that important, I think, this point, if it's a draw. Win, then you've still got a lovely buffer. If you, as long, of course, as long as Somerset don't chase those runs down. And actually, to be fair, if Somerset do chase them down on the last innings at the Ageas Bowl, and they haven't won the title ever, then they deserve to win the title. There's a bit of pressure on Somerset down there at the Ageas Bowl. I'm wondering if Jordan Clark must have a bit of an injury here, in the fact that we've not seen him bowl at all this morning. And he was the pick of the bowlers yesterday. As over the wicket then comes Liam Plunkett, and Simon Harmer might go here. It's gone high, high, high in the air. Plunkett or Morkel, it's bounced in between the two. Mornay Morkel left it for Liam Plunkett. Liam Plunkett didn't start off going for it anyway, and they picked up a single. So he's got away with that one, Harmer. I was fearing that they might run into each other, which would have been a horrible collision, those two. But yes, that in many ways sums up the morning for Surrey. And they get a single, and Harmer moves on to 42, 14 required off 11 balls.
Yes, interesting. I think it might well have landed safely anyway. 2 circling, the bowler and 1 running in. Walker running in from long on. Yeah, just one of those, I guess.
But I think Jordan Clark must have a niggle, because he bowled so well yesterday. but obviously not risking him today, as in over the wicket comes Plunkett, and forward goes Cook. Punches off the front foot out there towards extra cover, and there's no run, because Jordan Clark yesterday 15 overs 2 mains 3 for 52, which I suppose if he's not bowling this morning might put him in jeopardy for the final game next week, of course, which would be a shame for him because he's had a terrific first season with Surrey. Leads 212 for Essex. It's all about 400 now, as Plunkett is into Cook, back of a length. Cook's forward, pushes into the leg side, and there's no run. Simon Harmer may have said to Cook, "I've got this, don't you worry, I'm all over this," although he's just wandered down to have another word with Cook. Sam Cook.
9 balls now.
Yes, indeed. To get the, who knows, Johnny Brown, this could go on the show reel, couldn't it? At this vital point. As in over the wicket comes Plunkett, and this one's pushed by Cook into the offside. Oh, they're taking the single comedy mix-up, is it? The throw from Stoneman doesn't hit, so they get through for the single. So Harmer obviously said to Cook, "Get me on strike." So one more to the total, 13 needed, and we've had 4 balls of this over.
Yeah, it's going to do well to nudge the drama of day 4 at Grace Road, I think.
Yes,
That's the thing.
yes. That one is a vintage, vintage one. As waiting over his bat is the right-handed Harmer here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio London. Plunkett at the moment's got slip gully, backward point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, square leg, and there's the long leg as well. Just taking a bit of time here, building up the tension, as Liam Plunkett comes in over the wicket to Simon Harmer, who's cutting in the air past backward point and away for 4. So Simon Harmer, he's playing a gem here. Made 100 against Surrey, of course, in that final game last season. Here, 46 of 45 and 9 runs away from the 5th and final batting point. Essex. Oh, the drama.
We love a batting point, don't we?
Love a batting. Absolutely love a batting point. Season finish. All points, they all count. As in over the wicket comes Plunkett to Harmer, who's swinging this one leg side. Got no idea where that's gone. Neither's Ricky Clark, because it's gone out towards deep backward square for 4. Ricky Clark at mid-on was looking over his head. Harmer's taken them to within 5 with a quite brilliant 50 here from 46 balls with 7 4s and 2 6s. Take a bow, Simon Harmer.
Well, terrific innings from Simon Harmer. He's batted superbly. And yes, he's riding his luck a touch at this stage, but he's played some gorgeous shots in that as well. Slog sweep notably, a couple of big shots down the ground into the Tom Pearce stand. And he looks very good value for his 50 off 46. And just 5 runs away off 1 over for what could be a very important batting point. Could be. No. It's 1 over, Johnny Barron. Huge. And you're on air for it. Here we go.
This is what all the big games have been for this summer.
This is it.
Don't get this wrong.
Cook is on the straight. Amar Birdie up here from the river end is into Cook, who's swinging it away on the onside. That's a horrible shot. Up to Scott Borthwick at mid-on, and well, there goes that batting point. But Essex finish on a very handy 395 all out with a whopping lead of 221, and Harmer is left stranded on 50 not out for 46.
Yeah, I don't think Cook should be too upset with himself. You can see why he is. He knew exactly what was at stake there, but him and Harmer have done a very good job there to get them anywhere near towards that 400. And as I say, that point could be important if this ends as a draw or as a loss with Somerset losing. But as it is, they're still in a fantastic position, Essex, leading by 221. And Amar Birdie there's picked up 3 wickets. Young Jack's in the box now, coughing, looking serious. Have you said something, Baron? What? No, it's gone out on the stream. No, he's getting his banana.
Oh, he's getting his banana. Banana skin, in fact.
Indeed.
Nice.
Bit like you there with that over. You got through it. Very good.
Yeah, well,
very good.
You see,
Very
that is
good.
why I get the big bucks.
That is
Churchy, for those big climatic
with
moments.
your summer of all summers. Thank goodness you were here. We got the lead commentator for the big moment. But Harmer there, all joking aside, wonderful innings of 50 not out. 395 all out then. That's a big old lead for Somerset, for Essex. And just to say then, if they win this game from here, if they draw it, they'll be on 209 points. So those are the two. Surrey will have to bat out their skins, you'd feel, for Essex to lose from here. So I think the two most likely results now are win or draw for Essex. And if Essex were to win, that would be 220 points they'd be on. If Somerset lose, there'd be 208. So Essex have a chance of opening up a 12-point gap going into next week.
Yeah, they have indeed, and it'd be fascinating to see how this game develops, because you feel Essex have got kind of two bites of the cherry here, because the likes of Cook and Porter, who took all 10 in that first innings, will have the new ball to deal with, and then Simon Harmer. We saw Verdi getting some fairly extravagant turn, and Harmer, slightly taller version, you think will be a real handful. Left-handers are going to struggle with the ball turning away from them, but otherwise lots of bat pad opportunities for the right-handers as well. So it'd be a big ask here for Surrey to try and get themselves into a position of safety.
Well done at the Ageas Bowl, 20 without loss. Somerset, so solid start there for Somerset. Let's see if I can get a few bowling figures here for everybody. Yes indeed, Moorcall 22 overs, 2 for 62. Ricky Clark 22 overs, 2 for 65. Jordan Clark 15 overs, 3 for 52, but we didn't see him today, which makes us think he must have a bit of a niggle. Amar Verdi finishes with 3 for 116. Liam Plunkett finishes with none for 61. Scott Borthwick none for 33. Harmer 50 not out. Then Tenduscarter out this morning for 103. Of course, Dan Lawrence is 147. Yesterday 395 all out. And it means Surrey will have to bat here for around about 25 minutes before lunch. And Essex will lead by 221 runs.
Yeah, it was sort of interestingly poised at one stage. Surrey, of course, were hustled out yesterday morning for 174 with, the final 6 wickets going down in a flash, and then reduced Essex to 53 for 3. And that was Jordan Clark getting all 3 in that passage, but from that point onwards, well, stands for the 4th and 5th wicket, and then runs all the way down the order as well, has meant that Essex are in a very, very powerful position.
And we saw with that new ball yesterday, Cook and Porter causing absolute havoc yesterday, because Surrey went from 137 for 4 at the start of play to within an hour 174 all out, and the wickets all taken by Porter and Cook. Yesterday morning, Cook took 3, Porter took 3. So they just shared them around. So Surrey know they've got some batting to do. But as I say, I think now we can safely say that at the Ageas Bowl there will be a result either way. Now, Somerset win that, they'd be on 224 points. If Essex win, 2 results really possible here, I think. Essex win or draw. So if Essex win from here, they'd be on 220 points. So that would be 4 points with a Somerset positive result and an Essex positive result going to Taunton next week. But, of course, if Somerset were to lose and Essex were to win, then Essex would head with a 12-point lead to Taunton next week.
You'd expect it to turn very swiftly, wouldn't you, next week, if that was the case. But another little thing to add into the equation. At some stage, Mark Church, this much vaulted batting lineup of Surrey's could fire.
Could fire?
And that would make things interesting, because you look at the firepower that they possess and all the England caps, and there's some young talent there as well.
My only thing with this is, at the moment, Essex are sort of on the crest of a wave in this game. Yesterday went perfectly for them. This morning's gone pretty well. You just feel the power is with Essex, don't you? And it's going to be one of those where Surrey can bat out their skins here and still the force is with Essex.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the fact they've got all bases covered. Harmer's been such a significant force, hasn't he? 49 wickets going into this match at home in the space of 6 games tells you just about everything you need to know.
Yes.
And with sun baking this pitch.
The way I describe this at the moment is this is a little like when finally Darth came up against Obi-Wan.
Yes. In A New Hope.
Yes.
Although that was the first instalment.
The greatest of all the episodes.
Absolutely marvellous.
Absolutely. I'll wait to see what the last one's going to be like.
Is there another
this
one coming
Christmas?
out?
Yeah. Oh yes.
It's not the end of it, is it?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Is it?
Yes, until all the spin-offs come off.
Oh right. Okay.
This will be the last one of the episodes of the all 9 episodes of Star Wars. Will be the last one this Christmas.
Another Disney production.
Yes, indeed. Jack will be delighted to have known that with the drama there of whether the 5 runs for the extra point we had J. Barron Esquire ready for action. Showreel was getting ready. You were cutting the clip for him, weren't you? For the already
always
done.
the big
already
ones,
done.
Jack.
So
already done.
Outcome umpires Gould and Saggers. So it's a 221 run lead for Essex, and they have a nice little 25-minute period here before lunch to have a dart at Surrey. And Surrey will say to themselves, look, it's still the pitch is not doing anything major apart from against the new ball. And then you got Harmer. But as I say, Surrey just have to get their heads down here and bat well.
Bat a long period of time.
They've got to bat and bat and bat and bat and bat. You know, the way, because Essex then, if Surrey did bat out their skins, which they're capable of doing, obviously, but let's just say they did, trailing by 221, to give themselves any hope, they'd need a lead of 150, 200. Well, to get there, they're going to have to bat till, well, lunchtime tomorrow and a bit, you would have thought, to get up to around about 400. But then Essex, they'd have that, they'd know what had happened at Taunton. Ooh, they might have to go out and chase.
Yep.
At least sort of 150 odd. But the first equation is Surrey have to, well, first of all, get to 221.
We'll get
That's
to
the
lunch.
first equation. Yes, we'll get to lunch on this third day.
Then tea, then close. Yeah. And that target.
Always a good tactic.
Probably ought to get one of the big local guns in, don't you think, Mark Church? Or we?
Well, I was waiting for Mr. Newton. I think, Paul, are you coming in?
Yeah.
Super. I think he's going to take your place.
Right, okay.
No, so we go back to the rotor that we
rotor.
had. Don't go just yet, though.
No.
Because Paul's still typing.
Are you waiting for another nugget?
Yes. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Where shall I go now?
This is nice, isn't it? All the Essex players shaking each other by the hand there in the slip cordon.
Not surprised.
So Harmer getting lots of shakes from Cook. Cook shaking the hand of Lawrence. I think he probably shook his hand last night.
It's a good advert for the game, isn't it? This
is
game of cricket in
absolutely.
every sense, in terms of how many people are here,
Yes.
the calibre of the sport we've witnessed.
Yes.
They do it well here.
They do it
Lots
well.
of members, and they're all here.
They certainly are.
Lots of Surrey supporters as well, I might add.
Yes, indeed. So it's going to be Jamie Porter with the first over from the Hayes close end. 3 slips gully cover point. Mark Stoneman, the man on striking shirt sleeved order. As round the wicket goes Porter. Stoneman edge. That climbed on him. He's played it pretty well actually down into the turf. And it's running off down towards third man. But encouragement there straight away for Porter because that bounced on Stoneman. And Stoneman off the mark with a couple. And Surrey 2 with that.
Three from Porter. Of course, Porter and Cook were immaculate in that first innings. Have the confidence of this whopping lead to play with as well. Won't be easy going into this lunch period.
Not at all.
Cook, Harmer, Wesley. He's at full slip.
Scott Borthwick
And Lawrence.
is down there at the non-striker's end. Porter. Round the wicket he comes once again to Mark Stoneman. And Stoneman's forward solidly to a good length delivery. Rolls out to Ravi Bapara. Sir Alistair Cook was signing copies of his autobiography last night. There's a big queue as I left. Queuing up for Sir Alistair's autobiography signature.
Yeah, it would be. Snuck that out. Been a busy boy. Who was the ghost? I can't even remember. co-writer. Who was the?
No, I don't know.
Or was it?
I think he probably did it
Hempines?
himself.
No.
I would have thought. Round the wicket once again comes Porter. Forward goes Stoneman to a good length ball. Just opens the face at the last moment and pushes this one off down towards third man. They'll pick up 3. So 3 to Mark Stoneman. 3 more to the Surrey total. Stoneman's moved on to 5. Surrey have moved on to 5 without loss. Borthwick coming down to do a bit more gardening. Shining the ball up in there at third slip is Wesley. But very good morning for Essex. All out for 395, 221 run lead. And Scott Borthwick taking his guard and then having a little wander towards square leg. Sorry, have to bat today and then worry about tomorrow. As round the wicket comes Porter once again. Nips back at Borthwick, bounces on him, tucks it into the leg side, and there is no run.
God, it's warm in here.
It's lovely, isn't it? Very toasty. I went home last night and had another new nose.
Did you?
It must be at least number 4,000 for me.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I must admit, I didn't quite slip-slap-slop yesterday.
Did
which
you
is
not?
A little foolish, but I've gone
Got your shorts on again.
Shorts.
Standard Baron 2 pair.
Yeah.
As turning comes for round the wicket comes Porter. Oh, and Borthwick's forward outside edge doesn't carry into that slip cordon. It's a lovely length, that. It's that probing length from Porter. And genuine edge, that, from Scott Borthwick. Didn't carry to the slip cordon.
Well, the new ball's been a handful throughout this game. 53 for 3 were Essex, and Surrey, well, they were 88 for 3. 99 for 4. Prospered all the way through the game.
Borthwick settles over his bat once more. Jamie Porter places the ball in his right hand, then comes down the slope, round the wicket to Borthwick. Drives, beats the inside edge. Wow, that was close to bowling him. That's gone the other way. It's a lovely first over from Jamie Porter. So here comes Paul Newton. Off goes Johnny Barron. Thank you for that, Mr. Barron. And Paul Newton heading back in now to join us. It's been a very solid morning from Essex this morning. And looking across towards the Ageas Bowl all the while. Welcome back, Mr. Newton.
Yes, well, as you heard from Kevin Howells down at Southampton, you heard him say that the pitch has flattened out down there. Somerset 31 for no wicket. It looks to me as though the Hampshire spinners are going to have to take a good few wickets between them. Kyle Abbott can't do it all on his own. He's rescued them with the ball, he's rescued them with the bat. It does look as though Somerset will probably pull it out of the bag. Here comes Sam Cook. Round the wicket, river end, a leave. There's 1 or 2 shouts, but that was well clear of the off stump.
I was saying to Johnny Barron, if that is the case, and Essex win here, then there would be a 4-point difference between Somerset at the top and Essex in second place. But if Somerset were to lose and Essex were to win, there'd be a 12-point gap between Essex and Somerset. And Essex would be top going to Taunton next week. So there's an awful lot riding on all of this at the moment.
Cook again. In and bowls to Mark Stoneman. Well, it's as well he hit that, which he did out of the middle of the bat, let it be said, but he was back on his stumps and bang in front of them. It's played down to Beard at mid-on. Another lovely morning here. We do have a little bit of high cloud developing now. Probably it's about 80-20 in favour of blue sky. But gorgeous day nonetheless. You'd settle for this if you were offered weather like this. It's beginning to warm up very nicely. Very cold night actually. Very nearly had a frost where I live. So here's Cook. Bowls, good delivery. Well left actually there by Stoneman, who sort of played a percentage shot inside the line of the ball deliberately in case it should come back. And Cook keeps you guessing because he can bring the ball back in, but he can also move the ball away. 3 slips and a gully. But Essex may yet rue missing an extra bonus point in 2 consecutive matches. Here, well, they did pretty well to get as close as they did, but having engineered the opportunity, here is the next delivery, and that ball's cracked away for 4. Lovely shot from Stoneman, short outside off stump, beautifully played. So the score goes up to 9 for no wicket, all of them to Stoneman. Surrey trailing by 221 on first innings, but the point that escaped Essex at Edgbaston really was careless. Here, the 9th wicket went down at 354, so to put on over 40 for the last wicket, nearly all to Simon Harmer, and read a brilliant half-century not out, and Essex would have got almost certainly that final bonus point if Harmer could have got back on strike. The ball played back past Cook, but will be stopped by Beard at mid-on. There's no run, and I think Cook slightly got his sums wrong in that way he was out marking that. He himself appeared to try to hit the ball to the boundary rather than get the single to put Harmer on strike.
Yeah, I think actually in the long run that point won't be hugely significant. I wasn't at Edgbaston obviously, but I think more just to even give themselves a chance. It's the lead as much as anything, isn't it?
Cook round the wicket. Oh, Phil for LBW, not out, says umpire Martin Saggers. Looked to me just a little bit too much, slanting across from round the wicket to the left-handed batsman, would have gone down. And so Surrey trailing by 221 on first innings are 9 for none in 2 overs, second dig.
They are indeed. And yeah, very good atmosphere. Slightly tense atmosphere around the place because of course everybody here will know what's going on at the Ageas Bowl. It could be very tense by about tea time as the afternoon wears on.
Yes, I think the significance of Essex missing the final bonus point, and particularly the third bonus point that they missed, 2 lots of 1 points, come back to that. Porter's coming in.
Round the wicket to Scott Borthwick, and Borthwick plays this one off the back foot and gets a single, pushes it away into the offside, so Borthwick's off the mark.
I think the significance, Mark, would be if the bad weather forecast materialises at Taunton next week, in terms of being able in a much reduced time game to haul back a couple of points on the score of bonus points only, and let's suppose it's a draw and then it's down to who gets the most bonus points, you might pull back 2, but I think very difficult to override a 4-point deficit.
Round the wicket again comes Porter, and forward goes Stoneman, pushes this one back up the pitch, and there's no run. Well, look, I think here the 2 most likely results are either a draw or a win for Essex now.
Yep.
So if it was a draw, Essex would be on 209 points, and if it's a win, 220. So 209, and if Somerset were to lose, then there would be 1 point between the 2 sides. So that could be significant as forward goes Stoneman, pushes this one out towards Papara at cover point, but basically at the moment we don't know what's happened with either of these 2 games, so until we know what's happened at the Ageas Bowl and until we know what's happened here, we can speculate and add up as much as we want to, but we've still got a lot of cricket to be played here, and Surrey will be determined, absolutely determined to bat for a long time in this second innings. They will want to make this as tough as possible for Essex. As Porter, round the wicket he comes to Stoneman, he's flicking this one off his hip very nicely, and that'll race away for 4. Nicely played by Mark Stoneman. Just hopped across his stumps, flipped it off his hip, roll of the wrist, Stoneman's on to 13, and Surrey move on to 14 without loss.
Yeah, timing it nicely. Porter there just straying slightly. It wasn't a rank bad delivery, but was just fading down leg side, and Stoneman, nearly all left-handers like the ball on their legs, and lost no time in dispatching it for 4.
I was saying to Johnny Barron that I think Jordan Clark must have a niggle.
Yes, definitely.
As round the wicket comes Porter, forward goes Stoneman. That's an even better shot. He's just punched this. Oh, that's a lovely shot straight down the ground for 4. Gorgeous cricket shot from Mark Stoneman. He's on to 17. Quick start this from Stoneman. And Surrey move on to 18 without loss.
Well, I think this is the best pitch of the season here at Chelmsford. It's really come onto the bat. We've seen all manner of glorious shots in this game, and for me, one of the giveaway stats is when you see drives where the ball can be really well timed, and a batsman only has to lean on it, and it disappears to the boundary.
Waits again to Stoneman. Bat raised now. Forward he comes. Looks in good rhythm here, Mark Stoneman.
It does.
Pushes that one up towards mid-off. End of the over, 18 without loss then. Essex this morning all out for 395, so 18 without loss means they trail by 203. Got about 10 minutes until the lunch break. Oh no, actually, hang on, lunch will be at 12:40, won't it? Because we're playing 104 overs, so 20 minutes until the lunch break.
Just one final stat. We don't want to overburden you with all the various permutations, but just to point out that if Somerset won their game at the Ageas and Essex win their game here, and that's a fairly likely outcome with good weather forecasts, then should the scores actually end up all square, Somerset would have one more win and would win the title, and deservedly so, you'd have to say, on that basis. But boy, would Essex rue not getting that crucial extra bonus point in these last two games. As this ball goes through outside off stump, it's Sam Cook coming round the wicket, bowling to Scott Borthwick. A safe leave, and it has to be said, in the first innings, the ball was doing plenty, even starting as we did into the afternoon session on day one, because the bad light prevented any play till about, it was 2:15, wasn't it, a couple of days ago. But still, the ball was doing quite a bit. But so far, I think there's only been one delivery that's really troubled the batsman. We're in the fourth over. Cook bowls, and it's a straight delivery which Borthwick very studiously gets his head right over and plays it back to the bowler. No run.
As I say, Surrey will want to make this as hard as possible for Essex. Pitch is looking better to bat on with the sun out.
Yes, well, there's no excuse for any side not to make a match as hard as possible for the opposition. There can be no fear or favour on these occasions, and well done to Hampshire, for all the collapse of early wickets. They really gutsed it out late in each innings, as here comes Sam Cook bowls, and one is just run into the offside. Single to Scott Borthwick takes the score along to 19 for no wicket. He has 2, and Stoneman comes back into strike on 17. But yes, it's the beauty of the competition, isn't it, Mark? You want a situation where literally, it is true to say, there are no easy games.
Well, there shouldn't be, no. And on this pitch as well, Surrey would back themselves to bat their way through this.
I think the only side you can point the finger at and say, well, I'm afraid there were some easy games against you, would be Nottinghamshire, who will deservedly be relegated. Here is Cook in. Bowls, Stone appeal for LBW. It looked a good shout, but maybe an inside edge, and it's not out.
Yeah, hit it. You could hear the noise as he pushed forward. Something that passed me by yesterday, and I feel a bit bad about this, because I take pride in knowing my stats, Mr. Newton, is Ricky Clark took his 200th first-class wicket for Surrey yesterday.
Very good.
Yes,
a wonderful
well
cricketer.
Done to him.
Yes, normally he takes wickets and makes a lot of runs against Essex. He hasn't done so far. He didn't get as many wickets as he usually does, so I expect a big knock from him in this second innings. But Cook, meantime, bowls to Stoneman, single into the covers, and Ravi Bopara enthusiastically runs round to field. A score up to 20 for no wicket, 18 to Stoneman and 2 to Borthwick.
Excellent running from those two, wasn't it?
Yep.
Just dropped it into the offside and scarpered off. Did Stoneman for the single.
Well, of course you get used to running in top order pairings, and I imagine they know each other's game inside out. Rory Burns, of course, absent on test duty as Cook's in and bowls, and that's a very good leave, left on length. It's fairly straight, but lifted quite sharply into the gloves of Wheater. 4 overs completed, trailing by 221. Essex bowled out for 395, Tenduscarter 103, Harmer 50 not out, and Surrey 20 for no wicket in 4, with 18 to Mark Stoneman and 2 to Scott Borthwick.
Yeah, and at the moment, it's a good solid start, this, from Borthwick and Stoneman. Positive stuff.
Well, they haven't looked in any trouble so far. There's a couple that have hit the pads, and certainly the one that just took the inside edge into pads in that over, I think it probably would have been LBW but for that. But he did get an inside edge, and so good start for Surrey.
Porter it is, round the wicket to Stoneman, and Stoneman off the back foot. Good running again, just pushes this to the right of Ryan Tenduscarter up there at mid-off, and they'll take the single. And they're going to... Are they going to pull someone out from the slip cordon? Be surprised. I think Harmer's just run out to have a word with Ryan Tenduscarter. They'll pick up a single, one more to the total. I wonder if we might see Harmer over before lunch.
Oh, I think it's a given. He doesn't mind bowling with a new ball. In fact, he rather likes to. And I think you're absolutely spot on. I was just going to make that point. It might not even just be the final over. He might come on even sooner than that.
Round the wicket once more is Porter to Borthwick. Borthwick, good looking shot, just punches off the back foot through the covers. Off goes Ryan Tenduscarter. Made a very fine 100 this morning, did the Essex captain. Hundreds in both championship games against Surrey this season for Ryan Tenduscarter.
I tell you what, I think it's a lovely pitch to bat on now, because that really was nothing more than a defensive shot from Borthwick there, and it went 3/4 of the way to the cover boundary. And you get full value for your shots here, there's no doubt about that. Anything that a batsman has hit well, once it's cleared the field, there's been no pulling it back. And it's doing increasingly less to help the bowlers.
Round the wicket, Porter once again to Borthwick. Borthwick pushing that front foot eventually up towards Tenduscarter, stood up there at mid-off, and again there is no run. Harmer is getting warmed up.
I think Essex will be very pleased to have added 93 to their overnight score, because you know, bearing in mind how well the pitch now appears to be playing, and of course we're nearly through the more difficult of the 3 sessions to bat in, I think they'll be glad to have every run they got.
Porter into Borthwick. Borthwick, quick singles taken here. Oh, if that had hit, Mark Stoneman was gone. Had given it up. And there was never a run there. So those two, Stoneman and Borthwick, got that one wrong, because Borthwick dropped it, off they went, and there was never ever a run there. And Mark Stoneman, as I say, had given that one up. So that's an opportunity for Essex.
Yeah, Bopara haired in there and got everything right, but the throw itself, underarmed it, dived forward, underarmed it all in one move, and it clearly didn't miss by much. And as you say, he was gone for all money if that had hit. Given it up, as you say. So it is commendable, you know, when an opening pair really take the singles. Alistair Cook was always good at that, even though he's not particularly quick between the wickets, but a superb judge of just taking the pace off a shot and calling his partner through. But on this occasion, the Surrey pair got that one a little bit askew.
Round the wicket, Porter to Stoneman. Stoneman forward solidly, pushes this one straight back up the pitch, rolls up there towards mid-on, and there is no run.
Bopara is still wringing his hands and looking thoroughly fed up with himself because he couldn't hit the stumps from there, because he was fairly close. But then again, let's put it this way, it's always easier to miss than to hit.
Yes.
There's an awful lot of places you can throw it and it'll miss, and sort of only 1 or 2 where it's going to hit.
Round the wicket once again goes Porter. Looking to drive is Stoneman. That rolls back up the pitch, and there's no run. End of the over, so I think we're going to get Harmer now, with 10 minutes until luncheon. So all the bits and pieces are being run out for the close catches. This will be the key time. You feel that Harmer has picked up, what was it you were saying, 49 wickets, is it, in the championship here at Chelmsford this season?
Something like that, and of course he hasn't added to it so far, but maybe the reason he went up and had a word with the captain in that over was to say, time to give me the ball, Skip. It's not that Sam Cook was bowling poorly at all, and who knows, you can never tell, maybe if he'd been kept on here, he and not Harmer would have got a wicket. But you have to say that I think Harmer was always going to come in fact we did say that he was always going to come into the attack at almost any moment, and 5 overs gone, no problem for him gripping the new ball. And I imagine the way Tenduscarter will work this is that Harmer will bowl a long spell either side of lunch, and Sam Cook, when Porter feels that he's bowled enough at the Hayes Close end, will be replaced by Sam Cook up at that end. These are the three bowlers, Porter, Cook and Harmer, that Essex will principally be relying upon to try and force a victory in this game and give Essex 7 out of 7 for home matches in the season. And it's Harmer who comes in. Oh, and that's a really decent first delivery. Turns and beats Borthwick's outside edge. Nicely taken by Wheater.
Yep, that's off the good stuff as well from Harmer. Lovely bit of bowling.
Amar Verdi bowled pretty well this morning. Picked up 3 wickets. Oh, another one turned sharply. You can see why Harmer probably said, give it to me, Skip. Yeah, Verdi got Tenduscarter out for 103, but for which Essex would certainly have got maximum batting points.
You know,
and now a second slip is being put in.
You know what they always say, Mr. Newton? Big hands, big fingers, and that's exactly what he's using here. He is giving this a right old rip.
Cook first, Wesley second in the slip. Tenduscarter under the helmet. Oh,
Oi,
and that one not only turns but bounces. And all of a sudden we've gone from a situation where there's me saying reasonably enough what we'd seen. This is a pitch to bat on, and looking at Harmer here, it's a minefield. It's almost doing too much for him to get the edge.
Different gravy, this boy.
It certainly
really
is. Here he is again, around the wicket from the river end. That was a little bit shorter, and Borthwick can at last lay bat on ball, and the throw is deflected into the stumps by the bowler, but Stoneman had not remotely left his ground, and so Surrey continued to be 24 for no wicket, 19 to Stoneman, 5 to Borthwick.
Quite interesting in that Surrey for once haven't got a huge amount of left-handers in the top order. Normally there's 4 in the top 4, but of course you've got Smith, Pope, Folkes, Jacks.
Harmer bowls, and that's another one that turns and beats the forward prod of Borthwick. And all of a sudden, as we're sitting here thinking, you look at the way the new ball had been played from the quicker bowlers and thinking, well, Surrey could get 350, 400 here and set Essex, 180. Looking at Harmer, there could be an innings victory. I'm not saying there will be, but there could be. And huge applause. The last ball is a relatively tame delivery that can be left well outside off stump. But goodness me, you'd be a little bit alarmed looking at that over from Simon Harmer, the comes leading wicket taker. 24 for none in 6 overs.
Yeah, very good first over, wasn't it, from Harmer? The other thing there to say is that he'll pick up wickets against right or left-handers, but Surrey normally top 4 are left-handers. Well, of course, no Burns, no Algar.
No.
So you've got Smith, Pope, Folkes, Clark. So Surrey have right-handers now.
And Sam Cook is taking over from Jamie Porter straight away. Will bowl the 7th over of the innings. Porter having just bowled the 3 overs.
Yes, indeed. I'm not sure we saw Sam Cook from the Hayes Close end in the first. I don't think we
he
need
did
to.
have one spell.
Did he have one
there,
spell?
yep.
So, getting ready to come round the wicket is Cook, and Stoneman's forward and punches this good length delivery straight back up the pitch, and there is no run.
And I think if Hampshire are to beat Somerset, and Somerset have made a very good start, I think it's probably going to be the spinners who'll have to do the trick rather than the quicker bowlers in the second innings.
For Somerset, 57 without loss.
Yeah, just another 224 needed.
Round the wicket comes Cook, and Stoneman plays this one out into the offside. They'll want to sneak another Harmer over in. Essex before lunch.
Murali Vijay, who did Essex such a good service last year, is now having had a very lean time hitherto in his brief stay, similarly at the end of a season for Somerset. But he obviously is part of a good opening partnership down there. I still think it might get quite close there in the final analysis.
Absolutely. There's still a lot of runs with that pressure on as well. As in round the wicket comes Cook. Forward goes Stoneman, thickish edge, but all along the floor down towards third man. And they'll pick up 1, they'll pick up 2, and they'll come back for their third. So 3 more to Mark Stoneman. 3 more to this Surrey opening partnership. 27 without loss. Surrey, Stoneman 22 now. Surrey trail by 194 runs.
Good bit of retrieving by Bopara, who chased that with all his usual enthusiasm. He'll still be annoyed with himself that he didn't hit the stumps with his throw in the previous over from the Haste close end, bowled by Porter rather than the present Sam Cook. Any sort of hitting of the stumps would have led to a clear run out, and Stoneman would have been, I think he was on 19 at the time, would have been on his way. Be interesting to see how many he makes in the end. Played a magnificent innings at Guildford a couple of years ago against Essex, got 190 odd.
Round the wicket is Cook. Forward goes Borthwick, super shot, just punches into the offside. Will get a single. Ryan Tenderscarter dives away to his right hand side.
Saves 3 runs, because if that dive doesn't work, although it wasn't hit powerfully, but it's a fast outfield and it was nicely timed, and Borthwick would have picked up a boundary, and Tenderscarter at full stretch there managed to keep his eye right on the ball even while diving.
I think 61 without loss at lunch. Somerset, as this is turned, leg side by Stoneman. From Cook down to Porter. That long leg as the throw is whipped in. You probably heard the slap of that going into the gloves of Wheater. So we should get another one from Harmer in. They'll want to sneak another one from Harmer in.
Definitely, yeah, no, they'll definitely get that. They might even, yeah, there's only 1 ball left of this over. Harmer bowls an over so quickly. They'll probably, if a wicket doesn't go down, they'll probably get 2 more in.
Waits again, does Scott Borthwick. Cook is into him. Borthwick turns this with a roll of the wrists nicely. Nice shape on that shot from Scott Borthwick. Head was right down over the top of the ball. And he'll pick up a couple of runs, will Scott Borthwick. 2 more to him. 2 more to the total. Borthwick 8, Stoneman 23. End of the over. Surrey 31 without loss, trail by 190.
Yes, he wasn't quite on the mark there, Sam Cook, if we're honest. It wasn't a rank bad over by any means, but he wasn't quite on the mark. And it'll be down to Harmer, I think, if Essex are to bowl Surrey out today, let's put it that way, and maybe to bowl them out any time. It's interesting to note that both Essex's potential reserve spinners have been doing loosening up exercises here. They're obviously not going to get on. Well, I suppose they could. One of them might bowl an over at the other end, and I think it'll be Dan Lawrence who might bowl the last over. As Harmer's in bowls, and Stoneman returns it whence it came. Surrey, very good start, 31 for none. Harmer coming round the wicket from the river end, past umpire Martin Saggers. 2 slips and a bat pad, and well left this by Stoneman. There is turn, but it pitched just outside off and missed off stump by a good 3 or 4 inches. In comes Harmer again. Bowls. Bowler will field to his own bowling. Ball just nudged into the onside. Hasn't been quite the same degree of alarm in this Harmer over as there was in his first. Well, the ball was doing all sorts as he comes in again. Stoneman teased by this delivery but played it well. Square on the offside. Sam Cook fields at backward point. And Harmer already into his 5th delivery. And Stoneman turns this to backward square leg. Bopara, there'll be no run. Touch and go. Whether there be a final over, I think there may be if they're going by the pavilion clock.
It's definitely going to be Dan Lawrence.
Yes,
there is one.
He'll be hoping there is. He loves bowling. Bowls. Oh, now that was a leave that was so well judged because it missed the off stump by fractions. And, well, not a lot of danger until that final ball. It looks as if we're probably going to get 1 more in. And Dan Lawrence is already there, giving his cap and sweater to the umpire. And he's a terrific character, Dan, and he loves bowling. He's got this frog in a blender sort of action with his off breaks, and well, everything else has gone well for him in this game with that magnificent 147. Worth a try, I'd say, this from Tenderscarter.
Yes, definitely. Well, it gets you another over, and we saw a bit of turn there. I know Harmer's a totally different bowler to Lawrence, but he's got left-handers to bowl at with his off breaks.
Yeah, he's got Cook at slip, and bearing in mind it's the last over before lunch, I'd have put a second slip in for him as well, as a back pad.
Right, final over before lunch then, and it's Dan Lawrence with his off breaks coming into Borthwick. It's full toss first up, and it's turned by Borthwick straight to Porter at his position at 45 behind square on the leg side.
Yes, I don't think Kendis Carter was over enthralled with him bowling a full toss on leg stump, fielding as he is 4 yards from the bat, but it went fine of him.
Round the wicket he comes again, Lawrence, and this one's turned by Borthwick. A bit flatter this one from Dan Lawrence. Sort of skips, doesn't he? It's almost like he's bowling off the wrong foot.
Yep. Yes, he sort of. You could say that's rather like his batting. It's almost as if he bats off the wrong foot. But my word, what a great century it was yesterday.
Oh, he played beautifully yesterday. Lawrence is in. This one's left by Borthwick, not taken cleanly by Wheater. Hit the gloves.
Tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if
Gets a few more.
Exactly. if he gets a spell through the afternoon as well. There didn't look to be much in it for the quicker bowlers. And of course Birdie got 3 wickets, the 4 that fell this morning.
Lawrence, round the wicket he goes. Forward goes Borthwick, skews off a thickish edge out towards cover point, and there's no run. Nearly the lunch break then.
2 deliveries left.
Indeed. And will there be a presentation at lunch? You normally have one during the lunch.
Yes,
I saw umpire Ian Gould this morning walking across the outfield with an axe. As forward goes Scott Borthwick, pushing this one back up the pitch, and there's no run. I wasn't expecting to see that from umpire Gould.
No, maybe he's a sort of lumberjack in the
Maybe.
winter.
He's going to go and chop down the pavilion before the start of play. Whittled his own stumps, maybe.
Last ball before lunch.
Yes, indeed. As here is Lawrence round the wicket to Borthwick with the last ball before lunch, turned away by Borthwick down towards Porter, and 31 without loss. Surrey at lunch, so done a pretty good job of there.
Yep.
Messrs Borthwick and Stoneman, but it's still Essex with a very healthy lead of 190. So we've knocked 31 off the lead of 221, but a very good morning for Essex, Paul.
Yes, I think so. They'll be annoyed they didn't just pick up
I'm expecting a busy session.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to this afternoon session on the third day of this absorbing match between Essex and Surrey at the county ground. The situation is that Surrey are 31 without loss in their second innings. In reply to Essex's, they've just taken it off the scoreboard. Johnny, what did Essex get?
Essex got
395.
That's what they did. Yeah, five runs short.
395. Of course they did. Yeah. So a lead of 221. My name is Dick Davis. Johnny Barron just beside me, and on another glorious late summer or early autumn day here at the county ground at Colchester, with a very, very good crowd. Understandably, I mean, the weather's a bonus at this time of the year. It's a vital game for Essex, so when wouldn't they come flocking in? And they're certainly here in numbers. And it's going to be Simon Harmer continuing from this end, which is and that turns away. He's bowling to the left-handed batsman, so it's playing into his hands almost, because he just loves bowling to left-handers. He's got two slips and moves in now and bowls, and that's just played defensively by Stoneman. Stoneman has 23, Borthwick 8, and Harmer into the attack very quickly, which is hardly a surprise. Bowled two maidens so far. He's now bowled 15 dot balls, as that's just played out into the offside, no addition to the score. And Harmer is very obviously going to be the key to this match. And he moves in now and bowls, gives that a little bit more air. Was that a drop?
I think it might be.
Might have been.
Well, I think it's hit hard.
Yes, it was hit hard to Tender Scarter at forward short leg.
There's no heads in hands or anything like that.
No. And Harmer in again. And first runs that Harmer's conceded, pushed out into the onside for 2. And earlier on today, Ryan Tender Scarter went on to make a splendid century, out eventually for 103. In fact, the boundary with which he reached his 100 was his last scoring shot. Harmer in again, bowls. Oh. And again, he moves away outside the left-hander's blade through to the wicket-keeper. And I'm sure you'll agree, Johnny, that Harmer is indeed going to be the key this afternoon. It's almost banal to say it, isn't it? It's so obvious. So obvious.
49 wickets in 6 matches at home so far. Tossed the new ball fairly early in proceedings. He's going to be a handful. He's going to be a handful for the left-handers. I think he also is going to be more than hard work for the right-handers. And there's a couple of 3 big ones in. And I can imagine he'll probably bowl pretty much unchanged.
Yes, it might be significant. In fact, I'm sure it is significant, but that during the lunch interval rather, Dan Lawrence was bowling a lot of practice overs, so obviously they're thinking of him as also enforcing the spin attack as Porter moves in left arm round the wicket, and that's probably a leg by down to fine leg, where it's yes, it is somewhat athletically indicated there by the umpire Ian Gould. It looked a bit like a flamingo who was about to fall over, except that he's dressed in black and white rather than pink. And the next delivery comes in from the Hayes Close end, and that's down the leg side. And it's just been pointed out to me that we're doing alternate ends. So boy will I get it. my colleagues have so much on me that any slight indiscretion is going to be punished quite mercilessly one way or another. So I'll complete this over.
I'm not at all. I was just gently pointing it out.
Gently pointing out, yes, with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. That's worked away backward of square on the onside, and they go through for a single. And
I think you've been rather gracious. Actually, Church just tossed me out the commentary box. I tried a stunt like that.
No doubt, no doubt. So the score moves on to 34 without loss. And still Jamie Porter from the Hayes Close end. Well, it means, of course, Johnny, that you will, at least in this stint of commentary, that's just played back to the bowler, be commentating on Simon Harmer's overs.
Ooh, the action end.
Which is probably going to be the action end, precisely. Well, that was why I did it, you see. That was why I did it.
Yeah, well.
You see, it's me showing courtesy to the guests.
Well, that's, the hospitality here at the County Ground Chelmsford has been brilliant throughout, it has to be said, Dick.
And Porter moves in and bowls. And that's just pushed out on the offside. And I have to say, I've been doing this job for 20 odd years, and so has my colleague. In fact, Paul and Nick have been doing it for a few years longer. But one of the joys of this job, in most cases, not absolutely everyone, but in most cases, are not just being at cricket itself, but the sort of fellow commentary teams who become good friends, and that's one of the reasons is the anticipation of looking forward to it. And I think for that reason, Surrey is one of the games that we look forward to the most. There are one or two that we don't.
I thought that was coming. Name them.
There are one or two that we don't look forward to with quite the same relish.
Save that for Sports Extra. Save that bit for Sports Extra.
But of course, we're not going to say who are those one or two that we don't look forward to with such relish.
Yes. Wouldn't possibly like to comment. No, it is absolutely. It's well, because back in the day when, well, of course, Mark Church, of course, was a pioneer for the online commentary.
He is.
But Essex and Surrey were one of the few that actually did it, didn't they? I mean, back
right.
in the day.
Yes.
Often flying solo at various games.
So the commentary is over to you.
Oh, right, marvellous. Mark Stoneman on strike, and Simon Harmer gets one that turns, goes past the outside edge of Mark Stoneman. I'm pretty sure he played that. I might be doing him a disservice. Harmer operating round the wicket up here from the river end will be a handful. The right armer is in wide of the crease to Stoneman. He pushes forward. That's a length that won't really concern him. Right up to the bat. Yes, generally on the circuit there's some good people.
There are, and there's some very, and you discover.
Here's Harmer again, and that's wide of the off stump, left alone.
That although the one thing that we all have in common is that we enjoy watching and commentating on our respective counties, we also find that in almost all cases people have other, if not talents, other features of their character. We were talking about John Lees yesterday.
Ah, yes. Wide of the off stump, left alone.
And for those
Twitcher.
For those who don't know, John Lees used to commentate on Sussex matches for BBC Sussex, or at some stage it was called BBC Southern Counties, and he was a character.
Here is Harmer, wide of the crease again. Oh, struck on the pad! A big shout for LBW and gone. And Mark Stoneman goes slightly shorter in length and looking to whip away on the onside. And didn't really get up, as some have turned and bounced. And Mark Stoneman is the first dismissal. And disappointment for Surrey. 35 for 1, he goes for 26.
I don't think that would have given the umpire too many deep plumb, and I mean no batsman likes to be out, obviously, however he's out, but I think Mark Stowe will have to admit, yes, that was a fair cop, Gov, a fair cop.
Well, the problem really for Mark Stowe is it didn't really bounce a great deal, and to be honest, playing Harmer off the back foot is a dangerous, or maybe even playing him from the crease as he was on that occasion, you're going to get in a lot of bother, and he did.
Yes. we just give me the opportunity to amplify a little bit about great John Lees, who is still alive and kicking. I hasten to add, this isn't in a text saying that the lesser spotted green warbling Norwegian yellowhammer has landed just in one of the more remote Orkney Islands. He would say, "I'm sorry, I've got to go, can't do any more commentary," and away he would go. Wonderful fellow.
Incredible character.
He was.
Leesy, affectionately known on the circuit.
So that brings
Jamie Smith. Jamie Smith, one of the right-handers who I think might find it. I think the right-handers actually might find this even harder.
Really?
Well, because they've got to play it a lot, haven't they? Because
true.
The left-handers have got the option of leaving, whereas the right-handers can't. It's going to spin back and bring short leg into play. Harmer's back over the wicket. He's into Smith, who's playing off the back foot into the onside, and there's no run. Good stuff from Harmer. End of the over. Gets his first wicket maiden. 35 for 1 at the end of it.
Yes, he's now taken 1 for 2 in 4 overs, and it's difficult to compare players of different skills and different eras, but I would have thought that Harmer has made as large I'll put it no stronger than this, as large a contribution as any, and a lot stronger than most of all the players from overseas. I know he's a Kolpak, but that includes Kolpaks and genuine overseas players. I would have thought he's probably made a bigger impression than the vast number of them. Has just played defensively, trickles back.
Well, he's qualifying, isn't he? I mean, that's the thing with Simon Harmer. Is he's qualifying to play, and he'll be eligible, I think, at some stage, either before the season next year or at some stage during the season. And you'd think would come on the basis that England have already had him in the nets, haven't they, through the course of this summer. I think he'll be right in the reckoning.
Yes, he could.
Especially with all the left-handers that are knocking around on the international circuit. He's just the ticket. And he can bat.
He can. He's a useful man at number 7 or 8 as Porter moves in round the wicket down the leg side and sort of shepherded round the corner as they lifted the bat way out of harm's way as Borthwick lifted it out.
I mean, he fits the profile of what England are searching for to basically, unless Moeen Ali can force his way back into the side, but he looks a bit of a spent force with the bat.
He does a little bit, yes.
Which is a problem, and he hasn't got a great deal of confidence with the ball, even though he was the leading wicket taker across the last calendar year, believe it or not, in Test cricket. Moeen Ali.
Porter moves in again, bowls to Borthwick on the leg stump, just played out just forward of square, where it's picked up by Nick Brown. No addition to the score on this glorious day, as it always is in Chelmsford.
Of course it is. As soon as you go east, I think the weather improves, doesn't it? Everybody's moods improve.
Well, yes.
Long, lovely. You see, there are no trees around in this part of the world, so you get lovely long evenings. No hills to climb either, so you can save a bit of breath there.
As Porter moves in again past umpire Gould, and played solidly, defensively and correctly by Borthwick. Trickles out to mid-on, where it's picked up by Aaron Beard, who probably won't get too much of a bowl. You'd think that the very fact that Lawrence was practicing during the interval suggests that he may well be in the attack soon. I was a little surprised, as I said to my learned colleague Mr. Newton, that they also weren't giving practice to Tom Westley, who when he first came into the side was a genuine all-rounder, but with every season that passes he seems to bowl less and less. And slight adjustment to the field following a discussion with the bowler sees the aforementioned Tom Westley come from Gully, I think he was, to looks as if he's going to go to short mid-wicket. Yes, about well, if the wicket's 22 yards long, that's probably about 15 yards, something like that from the bat, maybe not quite that. And that's worked its way straight to him. Good field placing. And in fact, yes, if he hadn't been there, they would have found the big gap, although maybe the gap would have been narrowed a little had he not been there. Indeed, yes, Nick Brown was fielding more in that direction. Now he's right next to the umpire, having a chat about something or other. as Porter moves in again. Bowls. And that's worked away quite adroitly down to long leg, fielded by Little Chef, as he's known, Sam Cook. Just below the Tom Pearce stand at fine leg, end of the over. one score was always correct and the other is usually a run behind. 36 for 1.
Yeah, the good news is the one that's correct is up in our commentary box.
Yes.
And yes, well, Essex will be pretty pleased with this. Yeah, Simon Harmer just fits the profile of what England, if you had a job description of what England are searching for, he literally ticks every single box.
He does.
And I can tell you he's bang on the radar.
Yes. And I know it doesn't necessarily tick boxes for selection, but the good thing about him, especially from the media's point of view, is he's such a really decent fella.
Well, that always helps, doesn't it? In a dressing room environment.
A lovely bloke.
But his record across the last 3 years has been just fantastic. Notably in the championship challenges, and he's in. To Scott Borthwick, he's pushing forward.
He's no mug either. He's already studying for his next career. He's studying for a law degree in his spare time.
It's not a straightforward transition, that one.
No.
I'd imagine that's harder than geography. I'd imagine. Here is Harmer, who's wide of the crease and left alone by Borthwick. Good leave outside that off stump. You see, that's what I mean. You see, with Jamie Smith, when he's going to be facing Harmer, he's going to have to play the majority, whereas Borthwick can leave those alone wide of the off stump. Harmer, who is into Borthwick, is on leg stump. Just nursing it around the corner. Tendescarter Field, diving away to his right-hand side.
Well, he's got to be aware of the one that scuttles straight on.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Can't leave those, as Mark Stoneman discovered to his detriment. Here again is Harmer, who's wide of the crease and cutting nicely, and as far as Nick Brown at short extra cover. I feel he missed out there. Scott Borthwick could have literally whacked that just about anywhere.
A rare bad delivery from Harmer.
Harmer searching for his second. Again wide of the crease, is into Borthwick, he defends. Back to the bowler and there's no run. Yeah, you just feel that Harmer's going to keep a lid on things here.
Well, this is a great thing. This is where, to a certain extent, well, certainly in the time I've been watching Essex, which is quite a while, come back to that after this.
Here's Harmer again wide of the crease. Nursed around the corner by Borthwick, thinking about a quick single, thinking better of it. End of another good over. Another maiden.
And it could easily be argued that Harmer is almost unique amongst the spinners that Essex have had, because you can use him. He can be used as a stock bowler just to tie up one end. They've had a lot of good spinners here at Essex, but most of them have been strike bowlers that you'll bring on and but not for sort of the best part of a whole session or something like that. Whereas Harmer can. I mean, when we were at Trent Bridge, Nottinghamshire haven't had a great season, but from what I remember, he went at less than a run and over. I think it was something like 40 overs.
Incredible.
For 36 runs. I speak in round terms, but something like that.
Well, at Guildford a couple of years ago, when he took 13 or 16 in that extraordinary game, when he went back to back with big wickets, didn't he? He went at 1.6 and over at Guildford. Unbelievable.
Of all places, yes. That's a nice ground. And that's just played defensively out on the offside. It's got a lovely little cafe near the railway bridge.
It has.
Yes.
Yeah, it very much has. And Guildford it'll take a lot of cricket next year. All sorts of competitions, of course. You've got the Oval will be under lockdown over the period of the 100, so you can see Guildford picking up a lot of championship cricket.
Remind me the name of the ground. It's
Woodbridge Road.
Woodbridge Road. I knew it was the name of a road. Yes, thank you.
Nowhere near Woodbridge, though.
No. And that's just played out on the offside. No addition to the score.
Yes, I'd be amazed if people did set out from Woodbridge Road to go to Woodbridge. Well, it would be quite a trek.
Yes.
See, there might be a Woodbridge in Surrey, to be fair, but there's definitely one in these parts of the world. Local rivals, Framlingham College, where I was.
Which college?
Framlingham.
Oh, right, were you? I didn't realise that. As Lex Livery played totally defensively, trickles out just backward of square on the offside, picked up by Nick Brown, who claps his hands to exhort his colleagues to greatness. Well, they've had a pretty good day so far, taking their final score to 395 to gain a lead of 221 on the first innings, and they've got one of the visitors out already with 36 on the board. As Porter moves in. Not a classic action, his elbows are sort of inclined to be flailing around a little bit, but by the time he gets to the crease it's very effective, and that's just played out in the offside. No addition to the score. Such a warm day that a lot of people are seeking shade, which seems amazing. The sycamore tree at the far end, at the Hayes Close end, is attracting a lot of people in its
Doing good business,
shadow.
Underneath there.
Well, it's not in full leaf, it's beginning to lose a lot of leaves for autumn, and that's just played solidly, and it trickles back to Porter. You almost get the impression, with all due respect, and Essex have got a good balanced all-round attack, that whoever's bowling at the other end under these conditions are very much the supporting act.
Well, it is, yes. I mean, it's not the game, that's for sure.
No, they're sort of... I think I'm not a great boxing fan. I can't quite work out why it has a place in the 21st century. That's another topic. But I think it would be called the undercard or something like that, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Early on the bill.
Yes. As just played out defensively. Trickles back to Porter, end of the over. Having said that, which wasn't really meant to be a criticism, it was a maiden over because the score is still 36-1. It's not a criticism of the bowler, it's just the conditions and the wicket that lend themselves to Nicholas Harmer in the spin department.
Yeah. Very, very useful practitioner, Simon Harmer. He's done it on a regular basis this year here. And this game has, it's basically been the perfect game for Essex. And bear in mind that Surrey elected to have a little bat on the first day as well and polished them off quickly, got a huge lead. Still 185 between the two sides currently. 36-1, sorry. Here is Simon Harmer, who is into Borthwick. Cut the back foot to extra cover to Nick Brown. There's no run. Yeah, that's the kind of length, actually, to be fair, that Mark Stoneman got out LBW to, a ball that didn't bounce. Harmer again, who's into Borthwick, tossed up and worked round the corner. Only as far as 10 to Scott, and there's no run. You feel that what Surrey need to do is try and break up the dots from Harmer this end. Not sure knocking him out the attack is going to be an option, it's safe to say. Harmer again, who is wide of the crease again to Borthwick, who pushes full-length delivery back to the bowler, and there's no run.
So we're halfway through the over, at the end of which I shall make way for somebody else. I don't know who. Don't mind really, as long as I can go off and have some late lunch.
Here is Harmer again, and pushed out on the offside.
I will have done my half hour. We all work to rule here. We're strict union men. I'll have done my half hour.
Harmer again to Borthwick, who plays him from the crease. Dangerous that. That's where you get into a spot of bother.
Yes, neither one thing nor t'other really.
That's where Harmer will be happy with that.
Yes.
Never straightforward. Simon Harmer again. Right arm over wide of the wicket. Oh, where's that gone? In the air, and it looks, trouble. One that bounces. Looking to whip away on the onside is Scott Borthwick, and Nick Brown takes a very comfortable catch. Surrey lose their second. 36 for 2. And all sorts of problems because the bounce is slightly variable. And Simon Harmer, while he's banging this, he's got his second as Borthwick goes for 9.
Yes, it was straightforward. It would have been a bad drop, but I'm almost sort of defending him if he had dropped it. It was straight out of the sun, and he sort of tried to shield his eyes at the same time as taking the catch, but he didn't really make much of a mistake over that. So I think that is the end of the over. So it's a good opportunity for me to take my leave and see if there's any food left at the splendid catering facilities we have here. And I was pleased to hear, talking to the people who run the catering facilities, that their contract extends it at least till next year as well. So these things are very important.
Well, they absolutely are, because the food is tremendous here. All options covered. There we go.
Oh yes.
Dick, who's desperately trying to leave the commentary
I'm
box, but he's
I've
been
forgotten.
shoehorned back into his
dear,
chair.
My stomach is rumbling, and I realise I'll do another 10 minutes.
Another 6 minutes, because fortunately the box is full of union men who've noticed you were about to clock off. Not going to escape young Newton back there, that's for sure.
No. Oh dear.
I need another bit of the undercard for you.
Yes.
Just to make matters worse.
No, he'll get a wicket. Porter moves in, bowls, and that's just played solidly, defensively. And it's Ollie Pope who's come in, but not facing, obviously, because that wicket fell off to the last ball of the over. So if during that 10 minutes, then if when I get over there for food and she says, "Oh, if only you had got here 10 minutes earlier, we had plenty left, but it's all gone."
Oh, you'll have to take it up with the union, won't you?
Yes, I will. As Porter moves in and bowls, and that's just played defensively, trickles out on the side, picked up by Aaron Beard, and who hands it back to Tom Wesley, who is always the appointed cricket ball polisher, as a large mark at the back of his right trouser leg gives testament to. And 2 slips and a gully, backward point cover, mid-off, mid-wicket, long leg, conventional field. Porter moves in. Oh, he found the edge, and it's well fielded. Diving away to his right by Wesley. It bounced well before him, and there wasn't any chance of it being a catch. In fact, it might almost have bounced twice, but but it was still a very good bit of fielding. No third man behind him, so it certainly saved 4 runs. And the score remains on 36-2. It seems to have been 36 for a long time, maybe because it has. And you're listening to commentary by BBC London, BBC Essex. Don't know if we're on 5 Live Sportstra or not. They might be doing the other game, or they might be switching between the two. That's just played out on the onside.
We can be undercarded one, I think, aren't we? Well, you see, they've got their nose in front, so
yes.
they are the form horse that are being followed.
True.
And the great and the good, of course, at the Aegeus Bowl.
No doubt it's all being carefully controlled by the wonderful Kevin Howells.
Oh, it'll be across us, don't you worry about that.
Whom we're glad to see back in action, or hear back in action. And that's just played solidly, defensively, trickles out on the onside. Picked up by skipper Ryan Tenduscarter at mid-on. We'll be happy with the day so. Tempted to say not least because he got a century, but the players would always have you believe it's not about personal achievements, it's about the team's achievements.
It doesn't half help, though.
It doesn't half help,
when
yes.
you're rolling in for your appraisal at the end of the year.
Exactly, yes, it keeps the bank manager happy. As Porter moves in and bowls. Oh, and an edge. And again, well stopped in the slips. Eventually by
Could be a
Cook.
drop.
Do you think it was? I was
left-hand side.
So left
Church reckons it is.
Left-hand side of Harmer.
Yeah.
Was it low?
I think it might have been. Well,
Yeah.
I'll have to have another look at that, but it was, judging by the body language and
Yes,
the fact that
I
Harmer
agree.
stayed down for such a period of time, I think it might have been.
Yes. It would have been a very good catch.
Yeah,
but,
it would have been.
But then, of course, that's what we expect at this level of the game. And
well, it would have been a handy addition on the basis that that is the undercard, isn't it? That end,
yes,
graveyard end, and well, a brace of right-handers for Simon Harmer. So this is where Tenduscarter is massively in the game. Leg slip as well, or leg gully. It's Ravi Bopara in there. Simon Harmer will continue right arm over. Man on strike is Ollie Pope, who's looking to drive on the onside, and it's squeezed on the onside, which tells you one thing: it's turning.
Certainly is. Not that I think that was in doubt anyway, but just in case the batsman needed reminding.
Harmer tight to the stumps. Forward is Ollie Pope, just smothering the spin. There's no run. Yeah, the trouble that some got themselves in so far has been off the back foot.
Yes.
Looking to try and ease away on the onside of both wickets have fallen in that fashion. One bouncing extravagantly and one not. Here is Harmer. Tight to the stumps to Pope, who's driving. And they'll get through for a single, as that's just in front of backward point. 2 down now at the Ageas Bowl, which is, you can hear actually the ripple of that news across Chelmsford. Just heard somebody shouting it out outside as well. Here is Harmer to James Smith, who's driving on the onside, clipping it through mid-wicket very nicely. There is a man back there. And they'll get through for a single as Beard does the fielding.
Yes, a lot of Essex fans have suddenly become great fans of Hampshire as well.
Absolutely.
Which after the first match of the season down at Southampton, you wouldn't have thought likely when Essex were on very much the wrong end of a defeat.
Harmer to Pope, who's shuffling down the pitch and pushing back to the bowler, and there's no run. It's conceded. Yeah, the one thing that the right-handers do have is they have options. And go with the spin through the offside.
Yes.
On the onside, I should say.
Onside,
Work
yeah.
through just backward a square by Ollie Pope for the back foot. And there is no run. End of the over. And a 38 for 2.
Permission to leave?
And I think we have got it. Yeah, permission granted.
Thank you.
Davis, you can clock out on the way home, if you wouldn't mind. Yes, sir.
Technically, and no, it was actually just about a week ago, and here he almost pulled off another blinder. It was to his left, just about to hit the ground, got a hand to it but couldn't hold on. The bowls, off cutter, Jamie Smith back to the bowler, 40 for 2, 19th over. It is this afternoon, Mark.
Well, look, there's 2 games going on here. This is obviously nothing against Jamie Porter or whoever's going to bowl from the Hayes Close end, but it's who's bowling from the Hayes Close end, and then Surrey against Simon Harmer. And
yes.
So I've got to try and work out a way of playing Simon Harmer here, because he's just going to keep bowling and bowling and bowling and bowling.
Yeah, a little bit of hope for Surrey from the point of view the 2 men he's dismissed. The openers are both left-handers. Will he be able to have the same success against the right-handers will be the big question. He's now had his best season for Essex, beating the 72 wickets he got. As the next ball is played out to cover and there's no run, score remaining at 40 for 2, beating the 72 wickets of 2017. He's past that now with the 2 wickets he's got here, and wants only another 2 wickets for 600 wickets in the short time he's that's in his career. First class career.
First cricket, yeah.
I was going to say in 3 seasons. That really would take
extraordinary effort.
Yes.
200 wickets a season.
You have to say it's a little bit poignant as well that Kyle Abbott at the Ageas and Simon Harmer here come back to that point, but Porter's bowling the next delivery, thick inside edge, along the ground down to mid-on from the blade of Jamie Smith, 40 for 2. A little bit poignant that Kyle Abbott at Southampton and Simon Harmer at Chelmsford have put in outstanding performances. Harmer through the whole season, and Abbott's really come alive in recent games, and of course they are, when all's said and done, really South Africans. You do think, well, they've still got a very talented team, South Africa, but they must look a bit wistfully at the brain drain, as it were, as here comes Porter in and bowls, and this ball's driven to mid-off. There's no run, 40 for 2. I was told by no less a man than Robin Hobbs, actually, yesterday, that Simon Harmer becomes available for England in 2021.
Yes, and well, if he keeps going the way he is, they'll certainly keep an eye on him, no doubt whatsoever about that. What's going to be fascinating here is how Ollie Pope goes about this. He's not going to let Simon Harmer just bowl at him. He'll try and work out his way of getting runs off Harmer. But 40 for 2 then. It's 92 for 2 at the Ageas Bowl.
Thank you.
Tom Abel's gone.
Yep, needing 281 to win, so 189 more needed.
In comes Harmer to Pope, and that is tucked away by Ollie Pope with the ball spinning back into him. He takes a single, so Ollie Pope immediately gets himself off right, gets scoreboard moving. 41 for 2 then, so
good opening partnership for Somerset down at the Ageas, but I've always had the feeling that wickets might start to fall and it might get very tense.
Harmer is in, and Smith, good shot, plays this off the back foot, little bit short from Harmer, lets the ball spin into him and then just punches through the offside. So nicely played there by Jamie Smith. He'll pick up a couple. He played Ravi Ashwin quite beautifully up at Trent Bridge in the second innings, did Jamie Smith.
Yes, he's impressed me in the first innings.
Made 40 in the first innings, as Over the wicket comes Harmer to him. Always forward here, hits the pad. Balloons away into the leg side and there's no run.
So the 2 men to go. Sermon LBW to Harmer for 25. Ball kept a bit low. And Borthwick top edge caught at cover by Nick Brown off Harmer for 9.
Over the wicket, Harmer once more. And this is Smith down the pitch. Lovely shot. Locks Harmer for 6 over long on. Now that's one way of going about it if you're Jamie Smith. Brilliant bit of batting. Super clean strike of the ball. And away for 6 it soars. So Jamie Smith moves on to 10. So moving on to 49 for 2.
Superb pickup, and there was really no risk involved there at all. So cleanly did he hit it.
Harmer is into him once again. Smith forward. Pushes this one down into leg eye, get in front of the Frad.
No doubt that to Harmer is actually a good idea. So few players are prepared to try it. They tend to get stuck down the crease.
A difficult thing to do as Harmer is in. Wicker left home by Smith. That bam. And that almost took Wicker straight on the side of the helmet, I think, but hit him on the shoulder. End of the over. So 7 off that over. Sorry, 49 for 2 here on BBC. Essex BBC Radio London. Trailed by 172, and of course the championship race bubbling up this afternoon.
It certainly is, Mark. And yourself are neutral in terms of Essex Somerset. I know you do have to, but they're called usual. Unusual will be captivated by it.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day,